Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Wow, what a night!
Oh,
what a night! It was really the first UCSS night out.
Yeah.
We've done things together as a group in other places, but this was like most of us were there for the big comedy show last night, and I think it was a smashing success.
Yeah. It was an awesome night. Thanks to all the fans that came out. It was a great turnout. We raised a lot of money for the Cleveland Food Bank.
I was surprised at the crowd. I really for a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the Cavs game going on.
Right.
Which made it more expensive.
Everybody had to pay for premium parking downtown.
Right. Yeah. Right. It was great. The crowd was awesome. I thought the show was fantastic.
What'd you think, Jay?
He killed it. McNuggets.
He really did.
Killed it. He's got a career in comedy if he wants one.
Stunning.
And I also learned that I have a resting bitch face. So today, I will just talk like this for the entire show so that I don't upset anyone.
He said that, I don't know if you watch Jason on the show, but he's got one look. Pissed off.
I'm angry all the time. I'm really not. I don't know why I look so scowlish.
You know what? You have an intense listen face.
And I'm like so easygoing and
you
like
are.
laid back.
I've never seen you lose your temper.
No.
You're mild-mannered.
No, one time he did.
Yeah, one time he did. When he got sick and tired of us saying Baker could play again, he screamed at the top of his lungs, Baker's not playing here.
Take another snap for the Browns.
You were right. No, you're a good listener, number one.
Yeah.
And you're very intense when you're listening.
So I will just.
I did see him get
like
mad
this.
one time when Joe Varden took the last chicken finger over Jason at the Cavs game.
Yes.
Doesn't Jason somehow still look mad with the cutout? Like that's the maddest happy person I've ever seen in the world.
No, he's happy there. Come on. How do you feel this morning, McNuggets? Like, how would you rate yourself? Because you went in last night. You never were nervous. You got a little bummed out that they kept pushing him back. So McNuggets was supposed to be the second.
Yeah. Well,
person
first,
on the stage.
Mike Polk, who was hilarious,
Great.
went 40 minutes almost in the
He
beginning.
did.
I don't think any of us.
Recording. Polk went 37 minutes to open the show.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expected him to go that long. It was worth it
because
it was hilarious.
Mike laid out the itinerary. Here's how the night was going to go. I was going to come up, introduce Mike, who was going to give a few comments.
Yeah.
And then Mike was going to introduce G. Bush, who was going to bring up Anthony for a 5-minute set. And then Bull came up, and Bull was going to introduce Mike. But the whole thing got turned upside down because I introduced Mike, and that's when the program went off the rails. Because Mike did his 37 minutes, and I kept turning around looking at McNuggets and Anthony, and they're like, what's going on here? We're supposed to be up there right now.
We had no idea. Seriously, we had Anthony sitting right next to me. We had no idea
Anthony
what the
at
plan
one point came up to me and said, "Jeez, I gotta follow this."
Anthony was like Ron Zook having to follow Steve Spurrier in Florida, man. Like that was
that's a great. That's like hadn't even thought of Ron Zook in years.
Mike Polk wanted us all there at 7, and yet he was not there.
He got there at 7:38.
Yeah,
the show started at 7:30.
And I busted ass to get there at 7:15 because I did the 4 and 5 here.
Yeah.
Drove to Chagrin Falls to get my wife.
Oh yeah.
Drove back out here. Got stuck in cab traffic twice. Leaving and coming back.
That cab traffic was me.
So I said I kept telling Tracy. I told him I'd be there at 7:15. I got to be there. We walked in at 7:17, and then in typical Mike Polk fashion,
nowhere to be found.
And he walked in at like 7:40 or whatever it was. So Mike did his bit, and what made it really tough for Mikey, McNuggets, and Anthony was they were hoping to be the warm-up act. You don't want to follow Mike Polk. Mike Polk killed it.
Yeah.
He is just so good at stand-up. So when he was finally done, Anthony came up there. How long did Anthony go? Minute 57?
Anthony went a minute 57.
2 pump chump.
And he was supposed to do a type 5. He almost got to a type 2.
Yoke.
But we will play.
I think the three of us went longer than Anthony did.
No doubt.
No, you guys actually did all go longer than that.
No doubt.
You guys did. Confirmed.
What was funny about that is, I told my wife on the way home, I said, the last thing you ever want, and he had ladies there hoping to impress.
Yeah.
I think his girlfriend was there. I said, the last thing you ever want to do is promise 5 minutes and deliver 2. That's exactly what he did.
And for everyone who wasn't there last night, the last half hour of the show, we're going to do a full recap. We got a lot of sports to get to today.
Yeah.
We have literally more than 50% of Anthony's show. We will play for you in full. And we're going to play the first 4 minutes of my set. I went 11 minutes, by the way. I did fill a full 10.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike, are we going to post the entire thing somewhere or no?
So
I hope so.
There's a little debate on that because it's not technically – how do I want to word this properly? There are some words in there that –
Well, we can beep those out.
You want to go through 2.5 hours and bleep out every
Yeah, I mean,
F-bomb?
I went bananas.
You
with
said
the
them, you
cursing.
bleep them out.
I bleeped them out.
Oh, you mean the whole show?
The whole show, yeah. Oh, we could post our thing.
Oh, yeah. the
People
whole
are asking
show.
the whole 2.5 hours. There's
Why
a
can't
lot
we
of
do
stuff
it?
in that.
But it's just, but it wasn't. You know, I mean, it's not illegal.
But it
to have
goes under a
cursing.
Tegna. Tegna owns our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's technically a Tegna
yeah.
entity.
Yeah, you'd have to bleep out my whole.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
I
cut
don't
it.
think
Just cut Bull.
Bull didn't have a sentence without the F word. And he made a point to do that because yesterday I said that it was inappropriate for LeBron to drop an F-bomb on national television with kids in the audience. And Bull said, yeah, Jay, well, I got something for you. F you! Someone started heckling
It was so
heckling
funny.
Bull, and Bull looked right at him and said, shut the F up!
It was his neighbor. It was his neighbor. It was Bruce Elliott who's in the chat. Hey, real quick, we'll get to all this later, I promise.
Oh, God.
The best part of last night was when, after the show, I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, taking pictures.
Right.
Thank you to everyone who came out, seriously.
Fans were amazing.
But everyone
They
introduced
really were.
themselves as, hey, good job. Evan419 from the YouTube chat.
right.
I'm Wayne from the YouTube. I'm looking at the YouTube chat right now, which I tried not to do from my seat during the show. I now know names and faces of the people in there,
Which is nice.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. So
That's cool.
I do
Thank you
think
guys for
I do
coming out.
think that as like a meet and greet sort of mixer, and I know you did those a lot in radio.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really never
TV,
did.
You don't really do that.
No. And oftentimes we would be live in locations.
Right.
But you could never go into the
Right.
crowd, or you
Right,
could never
right.
even start shaking hands because you'd never finish. So I've never really done that before. But what I loved about our group, first of all, they are diehards. I mean, these folks.
They know everything.
Most of these people told us, I watch 2 hours every day.
Yeah.
Either live or I watch it back
Yep.
at some point every day. And by the way, Mikey, what super fan
Gabby?
Gabby?
Yeah. What's up?
Little sparks between the two of you? What's going on?
You never know.
He's
Wait a
red
second,
as hell
that
right
was
now.
I
He's red
thought
as
I thought the super fan didn't come.
No, she was there.
No, well,
Is it?
There's multiple super
you guys are confusing two stories at once.
Okay.
Gabby is a super fan. I do know Gabby. There's another super fan who couldn't make it last night.
But you said this girl sent like 10 ideas or 20 ideas in for the Friday Ask the
She
Show.
did. She did send 20 in.
She did. I
but-
met her. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gabby is the one that was sitting in the front.
Yes, Gabby was the one.
Okay, I know who she is. All right.
Mike is
Yeah.
wildly uncomfortable. Do you want me to pull you out of this?
Yeah, we got to change the subject. Go
All right,
ahead,
let
Jason.
me change it real quick. My daughter's homesick today. Hi, honey. And she texted me, "You are never mad. What are they talking about?" So, see?
Yeah.
Hi, Ava. Hope
Really,
you feel
you're
better,
really
honey.
not.
Well, we
You're
said
the least angry person on this set.
Usually, yeah.
You bribed her
That's
with
true.
ice cream. I got you.
Can I drop one more
that
gift from
forward.
last night, then we'll
Math test
pivot to
today.
real
That was
She
a
is
content?
skipping her
Yeah,
math
what do you
test
got from
today.
last night?
Good.
So Director Steve came out last night.
Had a
I don't
blast.
pan the camera over, but Director Steve came out last night. And after 30 years of TV, let's see, we get Steve in here. I don't think anyone at Channel 5 ever knew Director Steve because
Like
he just was
fans.
behind the camera. Yeah. And last night, people were coming up and were like, "You're Director Steve. Like, you were on a cruise last week."
That's awesome.
And Steve, after working in TV, how many years? 35 years, said it's the first time he's been recognized in public for working on TV. So this show is breaking every TV boundary there is.
Our
Man,
producer's practically a star.
That's
know.
crazy. My mom.
Last night I was the star.
You was the star. You
My
were
mom
the
and
star,
dad
rather.
came and they were like, we're slightly disturbed. I was like, why? She was like, all those people came for y'all show? She was like, that's a lot of people. That's crazy.
There was 10 people who had no idea what they got into last
Well,
night.
that was
There wasn't-
funny.
We'll save that for the end. We'll save that for the
that
end.
Okay,
wasn't a lot of
okay.
people,
It was
though.
the first thing you said to me when I said, "Are you nervous?" And you said, "I'm not, but I just found out." We'll save that for the end.
Yeah,
of the
we'll
show.
save that for the end.
Because it was so fun.
It's blockbuster trading season in the
Oh
NBA
my
right now,
God!
guys.
Right, Jason, what's going on?
I don't know. I was at a comedy show last night.
A month ago, we said, hey, the Nets, they're scaring the hell out of us.
Well, they were 112 in a row.
They were whipping
I don't think that
everyone.
was a month.
It probably wasn't. And then all of a sudden, now they're like.
But we always knew this, right? Like we always knew that they were psychopaths and the whole thing could implode at any moment.
But you didn't think it was going to happen in the
Why
season.
not?
Well, you know what I thought would happen? They'd get hurt.
Well,
right, sure.
Either or.
Yeah.
And last night, as we were leaving the comedy club to go for a drink afterwards, we look up in the monitor, and there's Kyrie in a Mavs T-shirt in pregame warm-ups. And then I woke up this morning, and my phone was blowing up, and I thought, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brooklyn clearly is just like they're in napalm mode, start over.
But they're not,
Here's what's so weird about the position Brooklyn's in, and this kind of ties into the Cavs. Houston owns Brooklyn's next 5 drafts.
I know they do. Wow.
So there is no incentive for Brooklyn to blow the whole thing up and tank because they're not going to get the benefit of it.
Exactly.
Houston is.
So Houston also
and by the
sucks.
way,
Just
Houston
devil's
owns the
advocate,
Browns
Houston also sucks.
draft for the next 3 years, or 2 years now.
Yeah, and to Mikey's point, so Houston has Brooklyn's pick this year. They have a swap next year. So even if Brooklyn is terrible, Houston's going to be terrible too. So on a swap, they would still get a decent pick, but it's not going to be as good as it could be.
Right.
So that's what's so. If they're going to move some of these other guys, if they're going to move Joe Harris or some of these
And
other
you expect
wings,
them to, right?
Probably, but I don't know that they're going to want to just keep accruing picks. Like they have to try and compete because it doesn't do them any good to tank. So they're in a really, really weird spot.
Has there ever been a super team experiment that's failed more than this one?
Probably not.
The other Nets won.
Well, the other.
Yeah, no,
The
you're
other
right.
Nets one was 10
You're
times
right.
worse. The other
You're
Nets one was
right.
10 times worse.
But this one, I'm just thinking back to I have friends that are Nets fans, and you never hear from them. And all of a sudden, I keep hearing from them, we're going to win it all. We're going to win it all. The expectations were championship or bust.
Well, at least they got Ben Simmons now.
Wow, I forgot he was even on that squad.
I think I read that the 3 of them, that Harden, Durant, and Kyrie only played like 17 games together.
Almost never together.
That's a fact.
Yes,
Is it
almost
17?
never
But I mean, again,
together.
look who you're hitching your wagon to.
Yeah,
Right.
unreliable guys.
The Harden trade is what doomed them, really, because they threw away Jared Allen to Cleveland. They were so obsessed with getting Harden. That is the deal that has Houston owning their next 5 drafts. Like the Harden trade was an absolute debacle.
Here's what I'm curious about, guys. And Jason, you know the league the best, but I'm curious from everybody. Is like in the NFL, we talk about all the time, the players have almost no power, right? A couple of guys, superstar quarterbacks maybe, but essentially the players have very little to no power in the NFL. In the NBA, it's complete opposite. The players have complete power of the league. Now, for me, I'm like, this is terrible for basketball. And I think a lot of older fans like us will say it's terrible.
I hate it.
I hate it. However, I don't know that it's actually bad for the game because I think a lot of young fans only care about players, don't care about teams. Am I overstating that?
You may be right, but I think that's bad for the league. I think you want to build fandom of teams, not superstars. Superstars come and go. These teams are going to be here forever. And so whoever was in on the Nets and now they're no longer in on the Nets, I think that's bad to have these floating fans of stars that are moving all over.
I've always thought that there's only a couple teams people truly really follow anyway. You know, people will follow the Lakers, people follow the Celtics. You know, if you get a team like Golden State out there, they'll follow them. But for the most part, people follow the Bulls back in the day. Most part, there's only a couple teams people are really diehard about. When you look at this move, I do say the owners, and I don't know how they're going to go with the collective bargaining agreement or how they're going to, split up the money. But I think the owners are just getting tired of it, bro. Like, these guys came there and they said the Nets were doing their thing. The Nets was just hanging out. Yeah. We got a nice little team. We got a young head coach. They had some guys back then, Karis LeVert, D'Angelo Russell, some other people. They made the playoffs. They said, Kyrie said, you wanted to come here. Then Harden was like, you guys put it together. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, so now you don't want to play here? I do want to play here. No, I don't want to play here. And finally they just said, listen, bro, get the heck up out of here.
And what's funny about that is, like, New York is supposedly one of the markets that players want to play in. But I know the Knicks are the more popular team in New York, but you're still playing in New York. You're living in New York, which a lot of single, rich guys want to do. And yet,
It's still not Madison Square
they're
Garden.
gone.
Exactly.
There is a
huge
clear
difference.
delineation.
Yes.
Yeah, but who's
Within
the
the
last
league-
superstar that chose to play in New York?
No, you're right on
Knicks.
that. But in terms of cachet
Yes,
with
no
players,
doubt.
LeBron loves going to the.
Yeah, that's
everybody
true.
loves going to the Garden.
Agreed. But still, players haven't chosen the Knicks.
But they don't-
Even though
they
that's
don't
true.
choose.
And I think that's in part because Dolan's an idiot.
He's a total idiot.
And they have they've never dropped a breadcrumb that leads to success, a trail to
Never.
success.
Never.
And because of that, I think guys would realize it would be a dead end. Carmelo, I mean, we could go on and on about guys that we thought were going there.
Right.
They were in the LeBron hunt.
Yeah.
When he went to Miami.
Since Patrick Ewing, they've been a disaster.
That's about it.
Pretty much.
That's about it.
You know, I mean,
They had that one good year with Melo, but
with
that's it.
Melo, the 1 year,
Yeah.
but pretty much they've been but even that was just lucky.
And it wasn't
they
a deep
basically-
run, was it?
No.
They won a playoff series,
Miami
didn't they?
bounced them, I think. Didn't Miami beat them?
Yeah.
I think they
won
did.
I think they won one series. I'll double
Okay,
check.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I mean,
they've been a zero franchise
for
for
me,
a long
success
time.
is make a conference final.
Yes.
Like if you make a conference final,
But it does make it challenging, right? Like, you know, like, and the thing that was missing, we were talking about this before the show, when you and I and Jason and G, because you're not, you know, we're all 40 and older. When we were like in the 80s and the 90s, you had these long-standing rivalries.
Yeah.
That would go on forever. Whether it was the Celtics Pistons, Celtics
Yeah.
Lakers, the Sixers, the Heat against the Knicks, the Bulls against the Pistons, the Bulls
out
against
west,
the
the Jazz had their years.
Yes.
The Rockets. You
Blazers.
can't do that anymore.
Right.
Because teams are at the mercy of these players that are so whimsical.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly believe that I said this 2 days ago. In the first couple of paragraphs of Kyrie's retirement,
Yeah,
it's going to sound like his career was a total disaster.
right.
Because it kind of has become that.
Yeah.
You know, I just think, I may be, you know, I'm the Duke and knee jerk. I'm just saying, it just feels like that career, that little era where those players, they're done. Like
The Cavs, the
Durants-
Cavs Warriors is the only any kind of sustained rivalry over the last like 15 years.
I don't think Durant, I don't think Kawhi Leonard, I don't think Kyrie Irving, I don't think Paul George, I don't think Andre Drummonds of the world. That whole era where it was the middling era, I think they're done. I think they don't win any more.
Jay, do you buy that?
The league is trying to incentivize players to stay with their current teams.
Are they
And-
doing enough, though?
Well, keep an eye on this. I actually just wrote about this yesterday, posted on The Athletic, and some of it's already outdated because of the Durant trade, but most of it still applies. Like this ongoing CBA negotiation, keep an eye on that because they're trying, right now, teams can offer their own more than what players can earn in free agency, leaving free agency. And as part of the new CBA, I think you may see even more. Like the league's trying to do more and
Yeah,
more.
because
and
that's
more.
been in place.
It has
You can
been.
make more to stay where you are, but
So
I
what are
think
they
what's
trying to do
happened-
now?
Beef that up even more.
But the problem, I think, is, Jay, is that these guys, we're talking about the movers, okay?
Yeah.
LeBron, Kyrie,
Durant.
probably your top 10 to 15 players. They don't care about whatever that extra incentive is over a long-term deal. They're going to make that up in endorsement deals.
Right.
And by the way, they're sitting on a pile of $300 million. So what difference does
well,
that
those
make?
guys, you're not, and plus, like the guys I'm talking about, if they want to go somewhere, they're just going to go somewhere. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. They're trying to keep Ja Morant in Memphis. They're trying to keep Jokic in Denver. Luka and Dallas.
Well, they tried to
although
keep
Dallas is a really
Durant
small
in
market.
OKC. I mean, that's been a thing. But those big dollar guys are like, I'll take
Doesn't
less
it feel
money
like,
somewhere else.
and maybe we're being naive, but it does feel like Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee.
I mean, he won there, and he is the overseas.
He's a different type of guy
The
than
overseas
these
guys
guys.
are different. They
are
They
different.
are, and that goes in all
100%.
sports. Like even in baseball, the guys who come from the Dominican are far more loyal than
Look
the
at Jose.
Americans. Yeah.
They could get more punitive. I tell them, listen, if you are, I go by all NBA teams. Like all these dudes are superstars. They be doing three tier trades and like if you're all pro, if you're first team All NBA, if you first team All NBA defense, if you all stars, right? That means you're part of the league. You have different rules and responsibilities. If you want to be traded somewhere, it's automatic 2 first rounds. If you don't have 2 first round picks, you might as well don't inquire. That's the league rule. And I would never give them a long-term deal. If you want to move, I would put it to you, if you want to be a mercenary, all those 5-year max deals, They'd be able to get 2-year deals.
And
But
the players would never agree to those things.
No, they wouldn't.
That hurts the teams more than the players.
It would, because then you're
Yeah.
stuck with, like, if in some of these situations, it has been beneficial for the team to move a player.
Yeah.
But it feels like the vast majority of them. I mean, this is twice now. Kyrie has said, "I want out," that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I said it the other day. That's twice he's been on teams that had a chance to win a championship, and he said, "No,
Walked
I
away.
want to go." And one other thing on what I was talking about trying to incentivize guys to stay, I'm not even sure that would work because they'll just sign the deal and then force their way out anyway.
Right.
It's sort of like Donovan. Now, Donovan did not force his way out of Utah. They blew that whole thing up. They did
Right.
that on their own. But he signs this massive deal, and they trade him like a year later. So, like, there is no perfect
Same with
solution.
Durant. He signed the deal too.
There is no perfect solution
No.
with any of these guys. They're going to get their money and they're going to get where they want to go. And this is, I mean, David Stern never allowed this to go on.
Never.
This is part of this is Adam Silver being the players commissioner.
Yeah.
This is the down. Like the players love Adam Silver.
They should.
But this is the downside to being the players
He's
commissioner.
handed them the key to the castle, and sometimes that can be abused. Let me ask you, now that the dust is settled, and there still may be another big deal, who knows, but now that we've got Durant and Phoenix, they've got a formidable squad, and the West is weird anyhow.
Yeah.
But now you've got Kyrie in Dallas, who looked pretty good last night, and how do things
D'Angelo
shake
Russell,
out?
I mean,
D'Angelo Russell
goes to the
now
Lakers.
is going back to the Lakers. What a
Russell
weird career
Westbrook's going to
he's
get
had.
bought out, right, by Utah?
I think so.
Yeah, I already think that there's either they've said or it's just massive speculation.
There's just no
They're
reason.
just gonna
There's no
release
reason.
him.
There's no reason.
He certainly
for
don't
him
want to play there.
No, and I can't imagine that anybody's going to be chomping at the bit to pick him.
Russell
By the
also
way,
in Utah, that was where he got in that little spat with a fan.
Yeah.
The racial
you're right.
slur.
You're
I
right.
can't imagine.
No, he's
he
not
would go
playing
to
there.
Utah and play
He's
there.
not playing there. And what a weird fall from grace he had. Like, I mean, he got old real quick.
Those guys who are built on athleticism, their whole game is athleticism and power. When they lose a step, they lose a lot. And I think we're seeing that with him
Which
play out.
goes back to our point on LeBron yesterday. It's
Right.
it's
It's amazing.
insane that he's at 38.
Yeah.
You know, he may have lost a half step, but whatever he's lost,
remarkable.
he can make up
But
for it in other
The
areas.
bottom
does
line
he
of this,
land?
though, guys, is
Would you take him in Cleveland?
Who?
Westbrook?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I asked him walking out the door.
Yeah.
It took me a half second to
He
answer
said
that
no.
one.
No.
But here's the thing, guys. What this does with the Nets is now the Cavs are pretty much guaranteed to have a top 4 seed. Right? I mean,
Well, they're
Nets
in
are-
the 4
Nets are
now.
Gonna tank. Or not
Yeah.
tank, but they're going to fall apart.
Yeah, they're in the 4 now. I mean,
They're only a half game behind Philly.
and I'm not a big Philly buyer.
I think they're
talk
full
about
game.
I'm not
behind
either.
Philly.
Do the Cavs
Still.
act more aggressively?
No, because they don't have anything to trade.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it doesn't matter. Like Brooklyn blowing up doesn't mean okay, let's go now. I mean, you still have Boston, Milwaukee above you. Like
Right.
that hasn't really changed. You have nothing left to deal. You have a couple of second rounders to play with. But that's really about it. You're really close to the tax line. Everything stays the same. Now it does open up. You know, Brooklyn. Let's see how they spin this now. They do have a lot. They have a ton of wings. So maybe they start flipping some of these.
And some of
guys.
those would be attractive to the Cavs.
Of course they would be, but what are you going to give them? And that's why I have no idea what Brooklyn would want because they're in such a weird spot right
Yeah.
now.
They really are.
So I
I'd
don't
love
know.
the Cavs to get Joe Harris back.
I love Joe. I like Joe personally as a guy. I think
Yeah.
he's great.
But you don't think that's likely to happen just because of we don't have the loot.
It would start with Karis LeVert, and because of the money, so
Right.
that's a perfect fit on the match. And LeVert isn't expiring. I think Joe has one more year left after this.
Okay.
Joe would be a good fit coming off the bench. I know that there's interest in the Cavs. Before Brooklyn blew everything to hell, they had thought that they were going to bring that they are open to bringing Karis back. They'd like to bring Karis back for a couple years. The big point with the Cavs is keeping their cap sheet clean going into 25-26 when Evan Mobley signs a max contract. That is when they absolutely will be a tax-paying team if they can put that off until then, because they've got so many young guys that are going to be making a ton of money in a couple of years. And again, to take this back to the CBA deal that's being negotiated again, at the other end of that, owners really want to sort of hold Golden State and Brooklyn and these guys that will just write crazy checks. They're trying to bring that down and balance the field out. with sort of the tax paying penalties.
Right.
Well, that's going to apply to the Cavs too.
Yeah.
So
and as you've said, you don't want to go in there early. It's very punitive.
Once you start that clock, you can't really come out of it.
Yeah.
But you could stay under and still trade, as you said, Karis LeVert for Joe Harris.
Karis LeVert for Joe, but I don't know what
Kevin
that
Love's
accomplishes.
contract be valuable too?
Kevin's 35.
Who's going to take him?
$28 million.
No, but just to
It's a money match.
Right. Yeah.
But again, like what? There's no value in Kevin. So what are you giving them?
no,
of value?
just to clear cap space.
Expiring deals don't be working no more. Like they don't. People. It ain't like it used to be. Oh, we got this.
But how much?
money.
What could the Nets get for Joe Harris? Like, how valuable is he in a trade?
As someone who watches the Nets a lot, let me just tell you right now, Joe Harris has been brutal. Like,
he's had a lot of injuries.
frankly, not good this year.
He's had a lot, but he's still shooting. What's he shooting from three?
He's gone down significantly recently. But
Royce O'Neal is
season,
the other one. Royce is shooting, I think, like 40% from three. He played with Donovan in Utah.
So, like, how much is it taking to get those two guys? I mean, it's not like.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe they would flip them for a two, maybe, but that's their twos aren't really worth
second round
anything.
picks in the league. The Cavs really don't have nothing. They don't. Twos is you can't get me and Jay for twos.
It's stunning what teams are doing with their draft picks now.
I said that to Bull before the show.
I am blown away at how quickly Phoenix gave up. What was the total price?
4 first-round picks
Four,
and a swap.
because they
And
wanna
so really
win.
5 first-round picks.
That's
But
just.
they want to win.
I know you want to win, and I know that you've specifically
Yeah.
said it when talking about the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think we've ever been in a place in pro sports where we're seeing teams take their biggest piece of draft collateral and just saying, take them.
Yeah.
Like they're licorice.
I said that to Bull when LeBron left the first time. I was on the Cavs beat when they were trying to stockpile draft picks and draft assets and trade assets. Teams were not throwing around unprotected picks like this. Like they were hoarding their picks. And the NBA has swung wildly to the other way of we just talked about Houston now owns Brooklyn. Utah's going to own the Cavs, by the way.
They
in a
are.
few years.
Yes.
They're going to own all of the Cavs drafts. And now we see where Brooklyn's going to own Phoenix's drafts, not for 1 or 2 years, for 4 years, 5 years.
It's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, like, draft picks are crapshoots. You don't know if they're any good.
Well, Houston just hit the lottery with the way Brooklyn imploded. And again, it goes back to who are you hitching your cart to? The Cavs, those could be really valuable picks that Utah. And every time I say this, people get upset and think I'm knocking the trade. I'm not knocking the trade. Like they took their shot on Donovan. You got to push your chips in when you have the opportunity. That was the perfect fit with this team because he fits age-wise, roster-wise, position-wise. He fit perfectly. So you take your chance, and they still should have Darius, Evan, and Jarrett, even if it doesn't work with Donovan. So they should still be in a better position than what Brooklyn is. But it's a risk when you're mortgaging drafts 3, 4, 5 years out, man. You could really.
The bottom line is, if you're Phoenix,
but go for a championship when you have a chance to win a championship.
And Phoenix, it's a big if, but if Durant and Paul stay healthy, they have as good a chance as any to win a championship.
And Booker.
I think they have a good chance to get out of the West.
I'm an owner. If I'm an owner, I keep trying to tell people, I'm 70 years old. I'm 40 now. If I'm 70 years old and I'm an owner, I don't give a damn about 12 years from now. This is my team.
Well, that's what Illich did with the Tigers.
If healthy.
I'm going to die soon, so I'm going out guns blazing.
Guns are blazing.
If Phoenix is healthy, are they the best team in the NBA?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so. Just because it's hard when you put two alphas together. It takes them some time to figure this out.
Right.
I think it's going to take Chris.
I think
and
they
Kevin
could
a
win
little
the
bit of time.
West.
Oh, sure.
I just don't see them getting past Boston, Milwaukee.
I don't buy that.
I mean, they could.
If those
I don't
guys
know.
are playing well, healthy, and they get to the finals, I don't see.
Well, per your philosophy of take a shot, like if you've got a shot, take a shot. They're taking their shot.
They've got a new owner there, obviously, who wants to make a big splash, and he did.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with Phoenix is guys love the Phoenix area. Obviously, the weather's great, but they hated Randy Sarver. The old owner was a scoundrel.
Yeah. Well, now it's the other way around.
Now it's the other way around. So
But they got an awesome team.
They had to give up Michael Bridges. That was huge. He one of the best two-way players. And you ask,
but hasn't he been suspended all year?
No.
No,
he's been
Who am I thinking of?
Jake Crowder hasn't played all year.
Crowder has not played.
No. Who's the? Wasn't he? Was he
They got Cam Johnson too.
No, you're thinking of the guy on Charlotte who.
Miles
Bridges.
yeah.
You're thinking of Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges. Right.
So you look at you still got Durant, who's been injury prone. You still got Booker just came back from injury, and Chris Paul.
And DeAndre Ayton's a good player too.
If Chris Paul kill you, he hit you for 20 points.
Yeah.
Chris Paul really went off today.
My point is, if they're good enough, if they get to the finals, that means they're healthy. And if they're healthy, there's no way you can say that they can't beat Boston or Milwaukee.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying they definitely
Can
will.
they? Yes, but I wouldn't put them in my top 2 favorites still. But I think that as the dust settles, back to the question, I think they're the big winners. I don't know how much Dallas is now this threat. I think they're better.
I think the Lakers clean up a lot of their problems.
I thought the Lakers had the best trades, Jason.
Really?
I don't know that that means they're going to win the West.
I mean, they're in 13th.
I know,
right
but
now.
I'm just saying,
Lakers?
They cleaned up a lot of their issues.
Yeah.
They finally got rid of Russell.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would have maybe bought that 2 days ago. But I think the elephant in the room is Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And just I watched that video again yesterday. It popped up on one of my feeds, and I looked at it again. It gets worse every time I see it.
I know.
And now they at least have some pieces they could roll into like next year. They had a bunch of one-year dudes, right? But now you got Hachimura. Now you got D'Angelo Russell, who's not crazy, but he can give you some points. They actually have some movable guys they can get.
They got better from the perimeter. I think they're like dead last in three-point percentage.
By the way, how dumb are the Knicks? Apparently the reason they couldn't get Donovan Mitchell is because they didn't want to trade Cam Reddish. And now they traded him.
No, I don't think it was
They
Cam
want to trade
Reddish.
R.J. Barrett.
Yeah.
Oh, it was R.J.
Who
Barrett?
was his Duke teammate back in the day.
The Knicks just have too
don't know
many.
what
The
they're doing.
Knicks, when the Donovan deal was finalized,
Yeah.
I was talking to a couple people who involved who just said the Knicks just have too many voices in the room,
Right.
And nobody can make a decision because there's just too many cooks in the kitchen.
Are you guys following the facial recognition debacle with
Yes.
Madison Square Garden?
Yeah. I talked about it on the show the one day with the woman who was part of the law firm that was suing them.
She's
and
not
she got kicked out
involved in the lawsuit. She just is a lawyer at the same firm.
Right.
And she took Girl Scouts to see the Christmas show, I think, or one of the, it was a show. And they told her you can't come in. The facial recognition, they identified her as, which is creepy.
Yeah.
Very creepy.
Yeah. It's scary where some of this AI is going and the facial recognition, man.
It is out of control. We better figure out how to use it and how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
But Dolan,
Sure we won't.
there's, if you were to pull the league, where would you most like to play? And it is special when you walk in that place. You know
they renovated it. They put millions.
But
into
you know what?
players, and I walked in and said it's still a dump.
when I talked to, and there was, I don't know how long this was a discussion, but early when I moved to New York, there was some discussion of building a new Madison Square Garden, and ultimately it was decided that first of all, where are you going to put it, and where are you going to put everything that goes in there that makes probably more than $1 billion a year hosting events. So as much as they'd probably like to put a state-of-the-art, sort of AT&T like what they did in Dallas years ago, they can't.
No.
They just don't have room.
They would have to move the Knicks to Barclays for a year.
Easily.
And
but think of the money they'd lose to the Billy Joel shows
exactly
and
it.
all of the acts that come through there.
yeah,
McNuggets is waving. He's got to go. We got to go.
Yeah, we got to read in so we can bring DQ in. If you bet on the Will McNuggets be funny last night on BetJack, you would have made a lot of money. And that's because BetJack is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate
There's no
Cleveland Sports Show.
subjective bets on there, Mikey.
No, and like I said last night, and you'll hear in a little bit, I bet on people, not sports. BetJack, though, is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It has all your action and their Super Bowl props, bets, NBA lines, over-unders, anything you want. They have it. Download the BetJack app today to get in all the action. BetJack, not only Ohio sportsbook, also the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, what's up, DQ?
DeQuell, you missed the show, man.
Yeah, your boy was drop dead funny last night. As much as we all hate to admit it,
He killed it.
he entertained the hell out of us.
What do we have video?
We
can
do have
confirm
video.
it?
We're gonna play it later, DQ. You gotta stick around.
We're gonna play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely.
I'll send you the full
Okay,
thing
well.
after too.
But you know
Hey,
what?
McNuggets, I got a beef with McNuggets really quick.
Go.
So
What's
you
up?
were supposed to send me some whiskey or something like that from Ohio. Remember that many moons ago?
Yeah, what happened?
That you
Uh,
translated to
Cleveland whiskey. That's a good point. Jay, I thought you actually said you were on that.
I have a bottle. You want
DQ,
it?
I will get you. Listen, I will
I have
get
an
you Cleveland
unopened
whiskey.
bottle.
I will get you Cleveland
Okay.
whiskey. They actually haven't sent us any. I actually don't want to say that on air, so I'll tell you off air, DQ. I got you. But I will get you whiskey. I'll get you whiskey.
It's never
Hey, so
good.
have you guys? Have you guys? I'm sorry, man. I can't stop seeing this video in my head on repeat. And Jay, I think you brought it up when LeBron
No.
got the record and AD was sitting and not clapping when the entire stadium was, taking in a moment of history and somehow he was in his feelings. Is that not the most selfish thing I've ever? That's the most selfish thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. I've seen teammates fight in dugouts, on sidelines, but I've never seen such a passive aggressive diss of a teammate.
Right.
And he had to know that it was going to be recorded.
Absolutely.
Passed on.
Everyone has their phones out.
Yes.
Everyone is standing up, and he's just not in tune to what's going on in front of him. When everyone in the stadium showed up to see this moment.
Yeah.
And right now, he knows what's happening. And it's just it's just very nonchalant, which
Basketball,
to me, it's a lot more going on internally.
I agree. I think they're at code red.
Well, that DQ, I was going to ask you that. Being someone in the locker room, what does that tell you about the relationship and the toxicity level right now?
LeBron's seen it.
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect. I mean, the same game, I think they reported Russell Westbrook had a spat with the head coach at halftime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's something going on internally that was clear as day. That apparently he was whatever the case may be, he something wasn't going right for him personally.
That pass early in the game when LeBron was wide open and Westbrook missed him by 35 feet. You remember that on a fast break?
Yeah,
I had somebody text me and say, that was Russ saying, "You tried to trade me, mother effer. Well, here you go." He missed him by 35 feet.
Yeah, and he had another bad pass later in that game. It was just
like
what is
Spurgeon
Russell
Wynn throwing a pass?
Man.
I don't think the football locker room and the basketball locker room is the same. The basketball locker room, there's 12 dudes. All of them was good. All of them was all world. All of them was all county. And then it's just there's so many of them that got so many teams with them. They got 3 cell phones, 3 girlfriends apiece, 5 maids. They got the team with them. They got 3 goons, 2 shooters, 8 lawyers. All of them got them. And so they give you looking there, and they so amped up. They got so many people in their camp. Somebody telling Anthony Davis, "Hey, dog, you really the draw, fam. You really that deal." LeBron when he got Russell Westbrook go, "He ain't got more triple doubles than me. I got the most, bro. Y'all is not that good." They be getting amped up.
A lot of voices in their ears.
A lot of egos. Yeah, and in the football locker room, everyone wants to help each other get paid. How can I help you get paid? And you're right. In the NBA locker room, even though I've never been there, you're right. There's so many different things going on, and guys try to look out for themselves. And if it doesn't work out necessarily they're with the way their contract and the way the NBA is kind of structured, they're allowed to demand a trade. Look at the Kyrie situation. He's been bouncing around like crazy, and he's had championship caliber teams, and somehow he hasn't figured out he's the reason why they hadn't been able to get over the hump.
Hey, DeQuell, let's get to football now, because your teammate, Joe Thomas, I assume, it's crazy if it doesn't happen, he is going to be announced as a Hall of Famer tonight.
He's in,
What are your thoughts on Joe likely being announced for the Hall of Fame tonight?
It's a huge honor, first and foremost. And I had a chance to play in the locker room for 7 seasons with Joe. And from the moment he stepped in, it was this, before he was drafted, there was this echoes of us drafting Adrian Peterson. And everyone got so excited about drafting Adrian Peterson. And then we draft Joe Thomas, which wasn't a letdown, by the way. So he comes in and he's a consummate pro from the day he walks in. Anytime you watch a guy handle the Ravens defense in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, with Terrell Suggs and Adalius Thomas and God knows who else they had on the edge, and have him stand up to every one of those guys, that to me, proved that he can not only play, but the guy was going to be a shoe-in Hall of Famer. And he led by example. He was always a consummate pro, through great parties, by the way. And, and I expect him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt. And he had a great family support system to allow him to go out and play the way he did and focus his time on football. So I'm hoping and praying that he gets in, which we all would assume. But and the guys in the locker room, we knew this was happening probably year 5 when he just all Pro Bowl, and it wasn't in a position that's, he doesn't score touchdowns or any of that. but we played in the division with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, who had really great defenses. And the one area, if you watch those defenses, obviously we didn't have great quarterbacks, but they didn't try to attack us from his side of the offensive line. It was always everywhere else. So he always stood up to any test, any football team threw at him. So I expect him to be a Hall of Famer. And I will be in Canton. You better believe me. I will be there to help him celebrate it.
Nice.
Before you go to Canton, you got to stop in here, though.
Yeah.
You can't come to Canton.
We'll see him in early August. We'll see him
absolutely.
Here in
and I hope I have a chance to give him a bottle of Cleveland whiskey. You know.
You think, DeQuell, Joe's going to ask you to give the induction speech? And if he does, could I help you write it?
Well, we'll see once I see this video how well you did on stage last night.
Hey, I didn't take any shots at you. No shots were
Which
shot,
I was surprised. I thought for sure you were
So
going
who helped you write your script? Did you write it yourself?
I wrote it myself. I ran it through some friends. Shout out to the support squad back in Jersey and Texas.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. Listen, I'll send you the link. You can watch the full thing and then come back at the end of the show.
I'm surprised you hadn't sent it to me already. Normally, you can't wait to brag. So we'll see.
It's still uploaded on YouTube. So.
By the way, DeQuell, Tyvis is still salty about you saying.
I forgot to call in.
Last night before we left the show, Tyvis goes, "Tell DeQuell he's flawed." He's still salty about it.
Hey, DeQuell, I did have your back though yesterday. I got Tyvis pretty good.
Oh, he crushed Tyvis the most.
He did.
How'd you crush it, man?
You'll see the video. Listen, we can't play it now because we need people to stay for the end of the show.
Yeah.
Got it.
He went after the man's hairline.
He did. He went right where it hurt.
You know, that G. Bush can attest to this. You know, I've seen a few times on there where, you know, whoever was working with it kept pushing him back a little bit, but I kept him out. So I ain't saying nothing. I kept him out. I was going to let G. Bush handle that.
Hey, shout out to Tyvis, though, man.
I haven't noticed that. Is it really?
I never noticed it with Tyvis.
It's a black thing.
Yeah,
you
just got to watch the corners, man.
There's the edges. DC, yeah, we got our own rulers. We can hit somebody up and be like, hold on.
They haven't been enough locker rooms. That's the difference.
Hey, listen.
Yeah,
listen, I know I don't have any hair, but I know what a good lineup looks like.
But he gave us some great stuff, though, man. We allowed to wear hats because of Tyvis.
That's true. You know, hey, DeQuell, you might know this. You know Jerome Bettis well. I worked with Jerome for years. I always used to say, bro, you're like a geometry project. Like, his was so razor straight, and then the angles, like you could take a protractor and it would be the same on both sides, and then his beard lines. I mean, it was just all straight lines. And there'd be times we were doing a segment together and I wasn't even hearing what he was saying. I was just looking at his hairline and all. I'm like, damn, what is going on there? It looks like it's been painted on.
No, it was.
It was.
Now I know it was.
Now you had that Beijing. You had that tomfoolery. He was like, hold on. Jalen Rose is another one. Hey, Jalen,
Jalen wears the fake glasses, too.
I said, man, your joints is. Listen, you look like you got lined up with a samurai sword.
But you remember the Boozer back in the day? You know, he had literally paint on his beard. Yeah,
Who did that?
Terrible.
Carlos Boozer, I'll get a picture.
Oh, Boozer was the worst.
Yeah. God.
That's probably the worst I've ever seen.
I actually think they amnestied him because of that. I think they just said you got to go. That's unacceptable. You got grease all in the basketball. We don't have
bad hairline.
the towel boys coming up there like,
the balls.
That ain't coming out. What's wrong with these balls?
Well,
oh, man.
We got to talk. I want to bring up something here. So Greg Newsome was on Twitter yesterday, and obviously this season he was playing the slot corner spot a lot. I mean, I don't know what percentage of plays, but a lot. And the year before he didn't, obviously. They brought in Emerson. They moved him to the slot. So there was some statistic that somebody put up, and he was top 5, and he's like, hey, everybody said I had a bad year, blah, blah. He's kind of talking trash. Okay, fine. But then some fan asked him, are you okay with playing slot corner again this year? And he just responded to it and said, no, that's it. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What did you think
I didn't
of that?
see it, but normally, typically corners, you want to I guess you get paid playing on the outside, right? Sure. And anytime you have you miss a step or you lose a step, they try to like funnel you inside as a nickel corner. And I thought he played well. I thought if he could really embrace this opportunity, especially with the emergence of Emerson on the outside, I think this could be a great situation from a secondary standpoint. But most guys don't want to move in because it gets extremely harder because now you're dealing with a guy that has a two-way go as opposed to being on an edge and understanding the field as to your inside. So, again, no one likes to be moved inside, but the guys who really flourish in it, there's great value in being a nickel corner that has the capability of being a number one corner or the corner on the outside. But most guys that I know, they don't like to move inside.
Mike Hilton plays it for the Mike Hilton plays that role for the Bengals, and that's huge.
It's huge.
Huge.
Because most of those guys are guys that you're trying to, that you really don't see on the outside being the left or right corner, but if you have a guy that's more than capable of getting it done, that's above average, it helps your team out tremendously because everyone throws the football nowadays. And It's so hard to find three solid corners that can match up on the outside and both on the inside.
Well, I'm sorry, homeboy. I like
better than the other two.
I like what you bring to the table,
right.
But if you go, only way you gonna say no is you go into that camp battle and be like, it's me or Emerson, because they're not putting Denzel Ward inside. He make too much money. Nope. Second of all, Emerson came in and didn't come out. He's bigger. He's more physical. He was locking people up. I'm just saying, is you gonna get his minutes or not? Because I don't care what you want. Jim Swartz ain't gonna hear that.
Right, unless he comes in and he just blows everyone away. But who's going to play in front of Emerson? He's too big. Right. He doesn't have the body type to play in the inside. Nope. He's an outside corner, and he's played well. He's contested. I mean,
and they're not moving Denzel either.
No chance.
Out there, right. So he doesn't have a shot. He's going to have to embrace it, or you know what?
Well, my fear was, he's going to not show up to camp.
He's not good enough to do that either.
He hasn't established himself to
no, but he didn't just say no bull. He said capital N, capital O.
I mean,
I just hate to see that because, I don't know,
man. Be a team guy,
we need the right attitude.
Jim Swartz will handle all of that.
All right,
and if he will. He's like, listen, well, show me you can do it. He's going to have a no nonsense attitude. And listen, if you don't want to play in that position, then you won't play. And then guess what? It's going to affect your career, but I don't see him doing anything like that. But I think Jim will have that situation kind of, dealt with once they get in the thick of things in training camp. But I don't see that being an issue. You can talk all you want right now in the offseason.
Right.
That's the time to do it.
Right.
To let everyone know I want to be on the outside. That's the attitude you should have. But you missed out on that opportunity last year.
Yeah. Good point.
DeQuell, is there any correlation with David Njoku wanting out after they brought in all those tight ends and asking for a trade, and Kevin being able to convince him to come back, and now look where Njoku is? Is that because I look at that and say, okay, like everyone says, Kevin needs to be a leader, he needs to be a communicator. Well, he got David Njoku to buy back in, and he got him back in the boat and rowing in the right direction. Is this another instance with Greg where he may have to do that?
Yeah, listen, you're the head coach, you're the CEO. That's why you have to be able to delegate and kind of, take care of these undercurring, themes that's going on throughout the locker room and making sure every guy feels confident and bought into the system. Because if you don't, this team, again, that was our biggest gripe on Kevin Stefanski last season. Can he manage the football team? And this is part of his job responsibility. He's got to be able to, especially the guys on the contract, especially the guys that can come in and help you, that you're going to have to rely on. And I'm one of those guys, I've given him a pass because of what he did with Jacoby Brissett. He got the best out of him. Absolutely. And so, again, Kevin Stefanski is going to have to figure this out somehow, some way. And it's going to start right now. You can't wait until the season starts to figure out, what guys' wants and needs are. You need to figure that out right now so you can anticipate how to get these guys involved and how to make them feel happy about showing up to work.
Well, McNuggets just put up Jacoby Brissett stats. We know he had a good year for the Browns last year. I think he's going to be able, at the very least, to compete for a starting job somewhere else. But if you're the Browns, do you try to make it a priority to bring him back as your backup? Or do you say, like, hey, somebody's going to pay him more money to potentially be a starter? He's, we can't do it. What do you think?
I keep him in the building unless someone makes a trade offer that you cannot refuse.
Well, he's a free agent. He's a free agent.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. No, I would have a concerted effort to bring him back. But I don't think he would want to come back. You would have to overpay him to be a backup. And I only say that because the way he was able to galvanize his offense and those guys trusted in him. And I remember at times last year when he didn't have he was the reason they lost the game towards the end by either throwing an interception or a back costly turnover. He was able to, he held himself accountable. He spoke at the, after the game and put it on his shoulders. So he has the pulse of this team, the ear of this team. However, I mean, it's all a math problem at that point. Is it going to be worth it to overpay for a backup as opposed to addressing some of the issues they have at D-line and linebacker and to strengthen this football team? So it's really tough decisions they're going to have to make moving forward. But I think you keep him in the back pocket to see where he ends up, because I do think he's worthy of being a starter. He's shown he's able to be a starter to one of these teams that desperately need a quarterback.
He is a luxury, and there are needs. I mean, and he would be a luxury. But it's funny that you talk about the backup quarterback and the importance of that role.
Yeah.
Twice in the last couple of years, Kansas City found themselves in a situation in a playoff game where they needed their backup quarterback. He's that guy you never think about until you need him. Right. And I think what Jacoby did prove more than anything is he probably will get a job with one of these other lower tier teams as a starter, and we just can't afford to pay him. But the importance of having that guy that can come off the bench. You don't want to just have
anybody as your backup.
No, you don't. It almost seems that the teams like Kansas City has had their backup in that role for so long that there's familiarity there.
That's important too.
And that is hugely important because
who's the backup in Kansas City?
The former Michigan quarterback, Chad Henne.
Yeah.
And the guy's in mothballs for 99% of the time. But
and what's he making? He's probably making what, $3 million?
Well, I would think his minimum would be higher than that because he's been around so long.
But he's not as good as Jacoby Brissett. And so Jacoby's going to make more money.
What he does for that, oddly enough,
he's important for them. He's come through big in the playoffs twice for them.
And now, if you look up the longest,
$2 million, by the way.
$2 million. Wow. Yeah. If you look up the longest drive in Kansas City Chiefs playoff history,
it was against the Jags.
It was Chad Henne against Jacksonville, and they needed that drive.
Right. They were scuffling a little at that point.
They were scuffling, and for him to be able to come in that spot, he did it against Cleveland. He broke our hearts.
Yep.
Unacceptable.
With his speedy legs that time.
That was disgusting.
Yeah.
I see that.
I mean, the obvious answer, Stefanski's going to have to find someone who knows his system to come in and help be a player coach to help expedite Deshaun Watson's, ability to understand this offense. And I'm trying to think in my head who are some of those guys. He was in Minnesota.
Well, he had that guy last year. Not this last season, but 2 seasons ago. He brought in the guy from Minnesota who was the backup, Case Keenum.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect situation where he knew the offense, he knew the verbiage, and played well when we needed him.
Sure.
I think the offense, it better look different. I think that traditional stuff Kevin Stefanski was running, I don't think they're going to be able to run that this year. I think they're going to have to come in. And Deshaun Watson, they're going to say, look, bro, you like these plays or you like these plays? He'd be like, I like some of these. We'll take some of these. I want to be in a pistol and this. Because, I'm not saying your offense is antiquated. They got a nice offense if I was watching Minnesota and the Golden Gophers or Iowa. They got a nice Iowa playbook. I'm watching these teams on Sunday. They're going to have formations. They're going to have multiple people in motion. I want to see something more like that. I need that.
Yeah, I would definitely take a playbook out of the Philadelphia Eagles, especially when you have a guy like Deshaun Watson who's able to use his legs to move the chains. So you take a little bit of everything. And we all talked about it this past season about Kevin Stefanski's kind of lull on offense where there wasn't any creativity at times. Go out and get these quick scat type of receivers so you can run gadget plays and open and widen the field out so you can be able to run and use not Kareem Hunt, but Nick Chubb. Yeah. So I think you have to be able to grow this offense. You can't run this basic, I'm going to hand the ball off every single time and play action pass and this very vanilla style offense. You need to be able to spread people out and torch them over the top. And also, we know this team will be able to run, but this team he definitely is going to have to get with Deshaun Watson, understand his talent around him to utilize these guys, because you have a tight end who is itching for really a breakout season. You want to use him. You know, he's a mismatch on a lot of linebackers, and you have Amari Cooper, but I do think they're going to have to find someone else to help this offense push the ball down the field in order for this offense to be successful and to run at a high level as we expect them to, especially given the contract that you've given Deshaun Watson and just the everything you poured into him this offseason.
It's going to be tricky in terms of wide receiver. At the moment, there's no, they kind of need a wide receiver one. I know Amari Cooper is a wide receiver one. He's not an elite wide receiver, but he's still a top 20 guy, top 30 certainly. Right. But they could use another one. There isn't any ones available in free agency. I think the best wide receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster, who's, fine. I did hear that Keenan Allen might be a cap casualty for the Chargers. But I mean, he's getting older. I don't know what he is speed-wise.
Draft.
Draft. It's you got to nail it in the second round. Obviously,
I think it's easier. I think it's easier to hit it in the second round though at receiver. It's a deeper pool, and
that's true.
And they don't go as many as the first round. You know what I mean? There's more. It's more. It feels like more ends and tackles go in the first round. So that depth is gone by the second round, whereas receivers.
What is their pick? 47 or something?
43.
43.
Yeah. 43.
You can get a decent pick out of that.
It's not horrible.
So,
yeah.
So do you guys, knowing where the Browns are right now, would you take the best available player, or would you go for obviously, a needed position?
Say that again.
At pick 23. If at the 43rd pick, if you're the Browns, do you take the best available player, or do you go more to need? Yeah.
Bull still thinks that wide receiver is your first address. I think it's interior linemen.
But I don't.
Which, by the way, I've been reading up about this draft class. It's loaded with inside defensive linemen.
Listen. If you're at 43 and there's a defensive lineman that you have graded way above a wide receiver on your draft board,
then go.
I'm not going to take a wide receiver.
Sure. Right.
But if it's even, I would personally take the wide receiver because I think you win with offense in the NFL.
But gosh, Bull, they were so neglected that position last year.
But I think the best teams all have superstars, multiple superstar talents in catching the ball.
But isn't part of being this elite quarterback that Watson's supposed to be is making your receivers better?
Sure.
Okay,
yeah, that's part of it.
When I just look at the position groups and I look at what we have on the inside of the defensive line and what we have as pass catchers, it's not even close.
Yeah, I hear you. I just think, you're not going to solve every problem with just this one
No,
pick,
you're not, but you're going to address a major need.
It'd be a surprise.
What do you think? Where do you think?
Yeah, I think you go D-line because you have Njoku, who we spoke about. He could be, his usage rate could be a lot more. I think he can be a lot more effective. So
True.
you can use that to counter, Bull's argument in the sense like you have a resounding hole at defensive tackle. Yeah. And I know I'm a little biased, but you need Myles Garrett needs some help. And I figure on the other side, you can go out and make a trade, if possible, for one of his old weapons. What's it from Arizona?
Right, yeah.
DeAndre
Cooks.
Or Cooks.
There are guys available that can help this team. I think you have to, if you have a guy from the D-line standpoint, and it's a slew of these guys out here in this draft, you have to address that situation. You absolutely have. And I thought I read today they just picked up someone on a futures contract. So clearly this is an obvious need for them, approaching this draft.
I look at their division. Cincinnati, you just got to deal with it. They got 3 receivers.
Right.
So they're going to be dealing with these guys.
I do think the Bengals might cut Tyler Boyd this year.
Just for
cap. I mean, they have a lot of cap room, but I think they could cut him for cap room.
Wow, I'd be surprised if they did that.
I look at the teams that we got. Look, Devontae Adams, they drafted him. They said, let me go out and get me A.J. Brown too.
Yeah.
I need 2 of them. They said, let me go get a tight end too. I got a tight end. I think you got to have multiple people.
What's interesting about the Eagles is the Eagles may have the best collective group of wide receivers, and I think it's unquestionably they have the best group of defensive linemen in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think of
probably
they just come at you with waves of guys on that defensive line. So everybody's playing fresh. I mean, hell, they had 70 sacks.
Yeah.
They had 4 guys in double digits. Our number 2 sack guy had 2.5, 3 sacks.
Yeah.
3. Taven Bryan. Put some respect on his name.
My bad. You're right. You're right.
That's
so I mean,
embarrassing.
like I've so many GMs have always told me through the years their philosophy of building teams: get a quarterback and get guys that can get after quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and that's how you win.
Yeah, they got to get that. They got to get that too.
We've been missing. We've been swinging and missing.
Yeah,
on
we
guys.
have. We
They
have.
miss.
So I have
All
no
right,
faith that they'll get it right. at
DQ, real
43.
quick. Super Bowl pick. Who wins? 1 sentence.
Man, Eagles. I'm changing my pick.
Everybody
I'm going
picking
Eagles.
the Eagles.
Not me.
Everybody.
Picking
Not
the
going
Eagles.
We're making our picks
I
They just
together.
have
want
a
Chiefs.
better. They just have a better overall team, and plus, I don't know how healthy some of Patrick Mahomes' receivers will
Yeah, they're
be.
dinged.
He's hobbling into it, so the Eagles are they found magic in a bottle this year. I got to ride with the hot hand.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
DeQuell.
Thanks,
Thanks,
bro.
buddy.
We'll
Check
talk
your phone,
next week.
DeQuell.
All right, I'm checking.
We'll
it.
see you in a little bit.
I know he's going to stick around to watch your 4 minutes.
I sent him the full
of
thing.
your comedy set.
I sent him the
Oh,
full
you did
thing.
send him
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing? Very
Got
good.
it right
There it is.
All right, very
And
good.
we go
Very
from
good.
fellas.
DeQuell Jackson
Back to hoops.
back to hoops. Greg Swartz, Bleacher Report. What's up, Greg?
Hey guys.
What a
Man
kiss
knows how to
ass.
make an entrance.
What a kiss ass. And it worked.
How much were you paid to do that, Greg?
We don't need to talk about that.
Hey, we definitely have to get into the Cavs, but before we do, first of all, thanks so much for joining us. We're all big fans. Greg Swartz from the Bleacher Report. Do you have a winner as it stands right now from all of these, drafts or trades? Obviously, the Lakers moved some pieces, but the Suns, we think, got better. Dallas added a nice piece. Who are the big winners and who are the big losers in your mind so far?
You don't think the Nets are the biggest winner?
Yeah, clearly they are. Yeah, they are.
Well, the Milwaukee Bucks are apparently getting Jay Crowder as of right
Yeah,
now.
just
So
saw
that-
that.
that's
we were
gonna
afraid of that.
help them too.
Yep.
So, as much as I hate to say it, and I tweeted this last night, I hated how much I liked the trade for the Lakers. I really did.
I said that earlier, Greg.
liked it.
Yeah, Jason said the same
I
thing.
mean, when you were talking about, the fact that they might get D'Angelo Russell, and they were going to get Malik Beasley, and they were going to get Jared Vanderbilt, I immediately thought, okay, that's going to take 2 first-round picks. That's going to take both their picks. And the fact that they only had to give up 1, and they got a protection on that, and that protection only turns into the 2027 second-round pick, I thought that was a home run for the Lakers, because you're plugging in 3 rotation guys, possibly 3 starters, depending on which way they go, and you still have another good trade asset out there in the 2029 first-round picks. So as much as I've been critical of, Rob Pelinka and kind of the lack of support they've given LeBron over the years, and just I thought that was a home run trade for the Lakers.
By the way, the Jay Crowder deal, according to Shams, Jay Crowder for 5 second-round picks.
Wow.
That can't be right.
That's
No,
what it says.
that's real. And the Nets probably have 73 second-round picks now.
5 second-round picks.
What? It's to the point
5
earlier. They're
twos.
throwing these things around
Yeah,
like
but
they're.
second-round picks.
I
It's not like the
know,
NFL.
I know, but-
Yeah,
second-round picks have almost no value, right?
Yeah.
But
Like Nikola
5?
Jokic?
5.
How many good players are there that end up in the second round?
More than you would think.
Nikola Jokic.
More than
You
you
can-
would think.
you can-
Two-time reigning MVP.
You're throwing a dart, but you can find
But
guys.
wait a
But
second.
you're throwing
Every
a dart.
year there are 30 players drafted in the second round. What percentage actually become good players?
But there's also a ton of undrafted guys who make it in the
Yeah.
The
No,
NBA,
but my point is, who cares how many second-round picks they gave up? They got a piece that can help them win a championship.
well, yes.
okay.
5 though. Good
But
lord.
I tend to agree. I don't see a lot of value in 2s. Kobe Altman sees a ton of value in 2s.
Sure.
He accumulates a lot of them. They were able to take 3 2s, move into the late 1, and get Kevin Porter. Now, it didn't work because of Porter's issues, but that
was
was
a
a good
talent.
trade. It was a good trade. He was a talented player. So you can bundle 2s to move around the draft board, but on their face value, I don't see a lot.
Greg, what do you think? You okay with giving up 5 second-round picks?
Well, Milwaukee doesn't have a lot they can trade. So, I don't think they can trade a first-round pick for the next 7 years. It's at least 28 or 29 because of all the first-rounders they sent out for Drew Holiday. So that's basically what they had to send out. So,
Wow.
In terms of the Cavs, Greg, like we've talked about this, there's players you'd love, especially the Nets, right? Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris could probably both help the Cavs. But the Cavs don't really have anything to trade besides. And maybe Brooklyn wants more second-round picks. Maybe they want to have 13 second-round picks. I don't know. Do you think the Cavs have any ammunition at all to get any player of value?
I mean, there's not much. I heard you guys talking about it earlier, but Karis LeVert is probably going to be the most likely guy that would be traded. You've got your most favorable of your second-round pick this year and Golden State's. That's not a great pick, but it might get you something. You've got future second-round picks from the Lakers, from the Nuggets you can trade. I just think if you don't feel like you can sign Karis to an extension that you feel comfortable with, you're probably more likely going to trade him. But if you think you can get him back and you can get him back at a good number, I don't think there's a real need to trade him. So I tweeted this a couple days ago. I'd be fine if the Cavs did nothing, just because they've been playing well lately. Isaac Okoro looks like he could finally be, the answer at small forward that they've been looking for. And do you really want to bring in somebody that would maybe delay some of that progress that he's made? So I'm fine if they don't do anything, and it wouldn't surprise me if they don't do anything at the deadline either.
Greg, one of the reasons I like the way they're playing so much is, I don't know what the heck happened in the last couple of weeks, but Evan Mobley looks like a different player. He's more aggressive. He's getting the ball, I think, more in spots where he could be more effective. We wanted him to shoot threes, but sometimes when you force somebody out further, 20, 21 feet, it's a little bit difficult because your game isn't developed to a certain extent. I think he's much more comfortable around 15 to 17. He's been getting the ball, being aggressive, dunking the ball. What kind of happened? Is this a concerted effort by JB? Is it just something his teammates are saying do it, or is this just Mobley progressing on a natural rate on his own?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, Donovan Mitchell missed time with that groin injury that gave Evan a couple opportunities to kind of step up offensively. Last night, they didn't have their top two scoring options, so he had another nice game. And I think Evan's just still – I don't think he knows fully what he's capable of, because he is so talented and such a unique frame that, he might try something out and be like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can hit this shot. Oh, I can go around this guy or go through this guy to get where I want to go. So he's just so – raw still in his talent, and I think just as he continues to add muscle to that frame, and I still think he needs to take a couple more 3-pointers, even if he misses them, because long term that's what we need. Just his aggression level, when he finally puts it together, seriously, he's going to be one of the most unstoppable big men in the NBA.
Wow, that was my next question to you, Greg, was what do you see his top end being? And you just answered it. That if that does in fact come to fruition, he is the centerpiece, really, because of the commodity that he becomes. If he's one of the best big men, the other guys come and go and they're replaceable, but it seems like what he does, you can build a franchise on long term.
Yeah, I remember I had a conversation with Channing Frye, who we obviously all love here in Cleveland. I had a conversation with him around the All-Star break last year, and I kind of said, the Cavs were doing good. Didn't look like they were ready to win a championship, but I said, historically, teams need a top 5 or at least top 10 guy on their team. And at the time, we didn't have Donovan Mitchell. And I asked Channing, I said, do they need to go out and get somebody, or do you think this is a nucleus that can grow? And he said, they already have that guy. He said, Evan Mobley will be that guy. He can be a top 5 to 10 player in the NBA. And I value Channing's opinion. I love meeting him and talking with him when he was here in Cleveland. So to me, as good as even Donovan Mitchell is, who's to say that Evan Mobley's peak won't be better than Donovan Mitchell's? And I think that's when the Cavs really can reach their pinnacle, is if you get Evan Mobley, reaching a level of a Kevin Garnett like that, and then you have those two all-star guards next to him, that's when this team is really going to enter the conversation to win an NBA title.
Greg, full disclosure, I didn't see the game last night. We were at the comedy show. I saw the score, didn't bother to watch the highlights or anything like that. But are you surprised Kevin Love didn't play last night? That seemed like a game to get him in. It seems like, I don't know, I was just surprised that he didn't get in at all.
Yeah, especially, no Darius, no Donovan.
Right.
I wonder how much of this, and you probably know this better than I do, how much of this is injury related with the thumb, because clearly the thumb is not right. I know that they've kind of officially taken him out of the rotation. But yeah, that would have been the opportunity to maybe go out and test the thumb, see how it's feeling. Kevin's a guy I still feel it could have a role on this team.
Totally
I still
agree.
feel like his rebounding, he's one of the top guys in the NBA in charges taken. Obviously, if hopefully, assuming they make the playoffs, he's one of the few guys that has experience on this team. I just don't think that we can write Kevin Love's the final chapter of Kevin Love's story in Cleveland just yet. And number one, obviously, he has to be healthy. We got to get that thumb right because he's still an excellent 3-point shooter and rebounder when he's 100% healthy.
Maybe that is it, because I wondered the same thing. For him not to have played at all was really jarring because it's Detroit. You're down your top two scorers.
He's out of the rotation.
Is it the defense? Is it just he's not playable anymore on defense?
No, I mean, last night they're up by 30.
Yeah, why wouldn't you
And
put him in there?
you're without
Except for
two
to
of your
Greg's
top
point,
players.
if you really are looking at this as an opportunity, let's, practice some load management here. Let's get the thumb healthy because clearly it is not right.
Is it possible he's ticked off and he's like, I'm not playing in a blowout game?
No, I don't think so. There is a pride and ego that comes into it in situations like that. But I talked a couple weeks ago, and he felt like he was turning a corner with the thumb, and he was going to get hot, and things were going to improve. And obviously, that wasn't the case.
And the Cavs must see the same thing. It's just, if they do shut him down just for a number of weeks, it doesn't matter what he gives them here. Greg, I wanted to ask you about seeding. Obviously, is important. I think it's vital that this team has home court for one of the playoff series. With Brooklyn sort of dismantling now, the Cavs have already moved into that 4 slot. Do you anticipate them staying in the top 4 now and getting to host a playoff series, which obviously gives them a better chance of getting 2 playoff series, which would be hugely beneficial to these young guys and I think to JB as well?
Yeah. I wrote before the season that I expected him to get the 4 seed. I didn't expect him to be better than Boston, better than Milwaukee, better than Philadelphia. The 4 seed is what I saw their probably ceiling this year. And that's important because hosting a playoff series is crucial to a young team's just development as they kind of find their way. Because after, Donovan and after Kevin, there's not a lot of playoff experience on this roster. I don't count the play-in games as last year. That's not a true playoff game. So with Brooklyn, they're obviously going to fall down the standings. I mean, they have a lot of nice pieces. We'll see how many of those pieces are still on the roster after 3:00 today. And then after that, it's like Miami, but they're like 4 games back. Yeah. We'll see what they do with Kyle Lowry. I don't think they're going to, make a move that's going to jump them all the way up. D'Angelo Russell's already been traded. They're not going to get him. Toronto, I mean, they're going to need a lot of work to make a big second half move. So I think the Cavs are in a really good spot. That 4 seed would be perfect for this team. Like I said, if you even win 1 playoff round this year, I think that's a success just because of how young this roster is and how good those teams are ahead of you. I'd say the Cavs' time is coming, but if they get a 4 seed, they win a playoff series, that's a good season in my book.
Another trade in the NBA, Thomas Bryant, who went from demanding the ball from LeBron, has been traded to the Nuggets.
That's why. Right there.
Devon Reed and 3 second-round picks. Another trade involving multiple second-round picks. Second-round picks are like pennies. You throw them in the garbage. Pretty much. That's what they feel like.
Yeah.
Let's do some research on superstars that have come from round 2.
Nikola Jokic.
Obviously Jokic. But there are Ginobili. Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, it's rare. It is rare.
That's the point. And there's 30 every year.
It happens.
Greg's got 2
but they
minutes.
don't have
Let's
a-
get one more
Greg,
question.
real
for
quick.
Greg. Gotta let him go.
Real quick, who are some of the – we still got 2 hours, 46 minutes till the trade deadline. Who are some of the bigger names you expect to still get traded? Somebody from Toronto maybe? What else do you think you expect to happen?
Yeah, I want to see where OG Anunoby ends up because now if you're a Western Conference playoff team, like let's say you're the Pelicans or you're the Grizzlies, and you're like, oh, crap, we got to get our Kevin Durant in the playoffs now. Like, what are we going to do with this guy? OG Anunoby is going to be one of your best options. So cost is going to be an issue because I've heard 2 second-round picks. I've heard 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks. I don't think 3 is going to happen. But for a guy that's only 25, one of the premier wing defenders in this league, he's under contract for a good number this year and next. I would expect him to go for multiple first-round picks. And we know David Griffin's sitting down there in New Orleans with a ton of trade assets.
Yep.
So that would not surprise me to see Anunoby go to New Orleans. Yeah. The Grizzlies, like I said, that's another team that could use a big perimeter defender like that. I think it's just going to be a lot of reactionary trades to now Kevin Durant, one of one of the best scorers in the game today is now in the Western Conference. What are we going to do to try to slow him down? So my eyes would be on the Raptors. I know they traded for Jakob Poeltl last night. It's kind of a win move. But if another team is coming at them and saying, we'll give you, 2 first-round picks and good players, that'd be tough to turn down if you're Toronto. So that's what I'm going to see. What's the fallout to this Kevin Durant trade going to be? And my eyes would be on the Toronto Raptors up until 3 o'clock.
Thanks, Greg.
Greg, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to go finish my book. I'll see you guys
There
later.
you go.
Thanks, Greg.
By the way,
That's well played.
that Bucks
Thanks,
trade for Jay Crowder is actually a 3-team trade with Indiana. So Milwaukee's only trading 3 second-round picks. The other 2 are coming from Indiana.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
Indiana gets Jordan Nwora. Is that how you say his name? From Milwaukee.
Nwora.
That makes
Nwora.
much more sense to me.
I have 2 updates for you guys.
All right.
I did send DeQuell the full stand-up. He texted back, I died laughing with 6 laughing emojis. So that's a little tease for 2:30 coming up, or 12:30 coming up. Also, I have a list. The 10 best second-round picks in NBA history. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear them.
I will read in descending order. I already disagree with the list, or who's 2 and 1.
Whose list is this?
Sports not.
Okay.
Number 10, Paul Millsap. 9, Chris Middleton.
Wait, hold on. This is a list of over how many years? All time?
It just says the top 10 best second-round picks in NBA draft history.
Okay.
Paul Millsap, 10. Multiple-time All-Star. Chris Middleton, 9. Solid player. Mark Price,
Yeah.
second-round pick. Tony Kukoc, Hall of Famer.
2?
Alex English.
Okay.
Marc Gasol.
Okay.
Draymond Green. Dennis Rodman. Manu Ginobili. And Jokic.
There's value. I mean, you
Now-
got to be good.
And
There's
I mean,
a ton of misses.
That's 10 guys over hundreds and hundreds of players.
don't discredit Jetty Osman.
oh, well, he's
He's a
11.
second rounder.
He's number 11.
Or G League All-Star Isaiah Mobley.
And by the way,
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think the foreign players in the second round from 40 years ago count because they didn't scout those foreign players like
None
they
of those
do now.
guys are foreign players from 40 years
No,
ago.
they didn't exist.
Go Coach.
40 years ago.
30 years ago, whatever.
80s.
I mean, he still had to draft him.
Yeah, but
That kid just fell off the.
we weren't drafting guys from overseas 40 years ago.
Right.
Like there weren't
30
any
years
impact
ago,
guys.
whatever.
And Kukoc was the rare exception. There weren't very many. There was,
No,
Yeah.
you're right.
He was the mind. And while we're talking, my wife texted me and said, "You're crazy. I am a horrible listener. I have ADHD and I don't listen for crap, and you don't know what you're talking about."
He's a great listener on this show. Either that or he's really bored, but he's pretending to be
He's a bad
interested.
listener to his wife.
I just texted you guys something. Well, I'm going to do some membership reads. Check your phones real quick.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are not members of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show membership tier, shout out to everyone who came out last night. For $1.99 a month, you get loyalty badges, customs emojis, members-only community posts. For $4.99 a month, it's less than $60 a year. You get all the starter tier perks, UCSS overtime videos, member shoutouts, discount codes for merch. You get to text with Jason Lloyd for select Cavs games or some of the other hosts on the show. Next one he's doing is the 15th against Philadelphia. Jason killed it last time. We're going to do that again. And you're going to see a happy face just like that from the one and only Jason Lloyd. And guys, we haven't done this in a while, but are you guys ready to play the bucket game again?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, in honor of Mr. LeBron James becoming the NBA's all-time scoring leader, I thought it'd be fun to see how many NBA Hall of Famers we could put in a bucket to equal LeBron James's career point total.
We want to stop as close to LeBron as possible without going over, right?
Yes. In case anyone has not seen the bucket game before, LeBron James has 38,390 points in his career.
Okay.
I'm going to give you all a bunch of Hall of Famers, and you will decide when to stop.
All right,
just
y'all
like
are going to look
blackjack.
at me, and I'm terrible with stuff like this, so don't listen to me.
Go ahead, Mikey McNuggets.
So are you guys ready to play?
Yeah.
Ready to
The
play
target
bucket?
number, 38,390. And
Okay.
let's start with someone we just mentioned. I can't believe we are getting 2 Tony Kukoc mentions in one episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This Tony
Bet Jack
Kukoc.
didn't even have odds on that.
No, that was worse than Bull having diabetes last night. Worse odds than that, which you guys will see in a sec. Steve, let's take Tony Kukoc. It's your first one after this. You're literally your next graphic.
Tony
You guys-
Kukoc. How many points did Tony Kukoc have?
Well, it wasn't 38,000, so continue.
No, yeah, it definitely wasn't
Good point.
38,000.
But we got to try to have we got to have some
I don't
idea.
think it was even half of that.
But we got to have some idea because we got to know when to stop.
Yeah,
so
you're
we
right.
got to think about it.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I mean, I would say maybe. Gosh.
what do you think he averaged per game in his career? 16?
About 15. He probably peaked at 17.
What did he play, 10 years?
10 years. I want to say he probably had like 12,000 points. Maybe.
I was gonna say you'd be pushing it to get to 15.
This is
I was
tough
gonna say
because the
10.
numbers are so wildly.
I'm gonna. All right. So you say 15. Let's say 79 games a year times 10 years.
Ooh,
That's
79 a year.
11,000.
850. So
850.
12,000. G was going to say 12,000.
Well, I would probably
go
down
a little
on that.
Down a little bit?
lower.
All right, let's say 11,000.
Yeah, we'll go with 11,000.
11,000.
I
Okay.
actually was going to go 10-5.
Okay. Your next Hall of Famer we're putting in the bucket. There's Tony Kukoc and Yao Ming. Equal
Yao Ming
LeBron
didn't play
James's
that long.
No, he
total
didn't.
point total.
No, definitely not. But Yao Ming
No.
probably he had more points than Kukoc,
Funny stat.
I would think.
LeBron James is
didn't
going to
play
end
that.
up with more block shots than Yao Ming.
Well, yeah, how many
but
years
he
did Yao
didn't
Ming
play
play
that
in the
long.
NBA, though?
I mean, it's still Yao Ming. He's 9 feet. He should get 30 block shots a game.
Nine.
Come on, man.
So you guys hitting again?
How many are we gonna give him?
Yao Ming had less of a jumping ability than me.
I'd say between the two of them, they're at like
20?
if that.
I would say if that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Maybe
I
we're
don't know
going too
Kukoc.
high
We
on
might
some
be
of these guys.
high on Kukoc.
I think we might be
Because
We
Mike's
might be
going to not
nine-
do it.
nine,
Here's the
seven.
thing, guys.
Yeah, I think
Mike's
10.
not doing this where it's only 3 guys.
No,
and we move on.
no, definitely not.
So I'd say we knock between the two of them. I say we go down 17.
17-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're
Yep.
sticking at the 17.
Tony Kukoc, Yao Ming, and Dennis Rodman.
Oh,
Now,
yeah,
Dennis
keep
Rodman
going.
didn't score much.
No, he wasn't a scorer.
He scored more earlier in his career.
But
when he had to.
But still.
Yeah, but then he was just almost strictly a rebounder.
8,000
He
points?
played a long time.
played a long
Yeah,
time.
he did.
8,000 points, maybe. He don't even got double digits.
No, he probably
Let's
averaged.
give him 8,000 points. Does that
Think
seem
it's too
fair?
much?
I would say like 22, 23 between collectively. I just keep going down.
Yeah, all right.
If we had more.
Let's go 23. That
Because
could-
we think it's going to be like 7 players.
Right. So 23.
We're
all right,
23 and holding.
23 and holding. All right. Next, does LeBron James' career point total equal Tony Kukoc, Yao Ming, Dennis Rodman, and Bill Walton?
Yep. Sure
Now,
do.
Bill Walton, remember, Hall of Famers in the basketball is
I
ridiculous.
know, it is.
It's not
It is.
really based on just the
He had
NBA.
a ton of injuries.
Bill
He was
Walton was
injured
not a
lot,
great NBA
and
player except
he
for a
was
few
a
years.
bench guy for a lot.
Early in his career, he was really good before he got
Very
hurt,
good.
and then he had a couple of years with the Celtics as a bench guy where he would, be pretty good.
We give him 8,000.
I say give us 30. Go 23 to 30. What do you think?
Okay, so we're at
Yeah.
4.
Hitting again. Does LeBron James' total point total equal Tony Kukoc, Yao Ming, Dennis Rodman, Bill Walton, and Ben Wallace? Tri-C
didn't score at
legend.
all.
Ben
Yeah,
Wallace.
yeah.
He's another Rodman.
I'm going
Yeah.
low.
Probably
I think he would be the lowest. guy on here
35
so
now?
far.
Probably less than that. I feel like
33-16.
I think we're inflating some of these
So-
too.
So 32.
Let's keep going and see
Let's
the
go
next
34.
Let's just keep going and see the
Because
next
this
one.
is like Price is Right. You go over, you lose.
Yes.
Go over, you lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So want to take
This
one
next
more?
guy's got to be the last guy, right?
Yeah.
All right. One
Okay,
more.
next one. Tony Kukoc, Yao Ming, Dennis Rodman, Bill Walton, Ben Wallace, Dikembe Mutombo.
I think we
done.
stay.
Yeah, that's definitely a hold right
We
there.
might be over with Dikembe.
I'm
but
afraid he might have put us over.
So you guys are all, that's it.
Are we good? We're all staying?
Yeah, I'm
Mount
good with
Let's
that.
say.
Does anyone want to take one more?
No.
No,
I
he's
don't.
trying to Monty Hall us into taking a goat.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't mean the greatest of all time goat. I mean a goat.
Literally, that milk
Yeah.
stuff. And eat
All right,
everything.
Mikey. We're standing pat.
Standing pat. You guys were very close this time, but you went one over.
Oh!
So
The
when he said Mutombo, I'm like, oh no.
The combination of Kukoc, Ming, Rodman, Walton, and Wallace combines to equal 28,209 points.
So we were close.
Y'all were very
a little
close.
higher.
And shockingly, y'all ready for this? This is what the most surprising part was. Ben Wallace scored more career points than Bill Walton.
Wow.
That's crazy.
By like
Yeah, I would've-
very slim margin,
Yeah.
6,254 to 6,215. But you want to hear the point totals for all these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
You guys were. Jason said he sucked at this. Y'all were spot on. Kukoc just under 10,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just under
We're
9,800.
a little high on him.
Yep.
Yao Ming just over 9,000.
So he said 20 between the two.
Yeah,
You guys, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're right
on.
there.
Rodman just under 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Walton and Wallace each had 6'2" and change.
So we were right there, but
You guys were right there.
we
on
were
all
hoping you'd
those.
have one other guy that didn't have that much. But how many did Dikembe have?
He was probably
almost 12,000.
I was going to say either
Yeah.
11 or
So
12.
it just put us over.
It was so. There are a lot of guys in the Basketball Hall of Fame that scored a ton of points. Like, these were the lowest guys I could honestly find.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to put more in the bucket than 5. But it is crazy when you think of how many Hall of Famers in all these different combinations you can mix and match together.
And those names, I mean, they're iconic. They're very recognizable. And it took 5 of them to score what LeBron scored in his career.
The next names on the list, by the way, obviously you guys read Mutombo. Would you have fell for Wes Unseld?
No.
I couldn't even venture a guess as to how many points on him.
George McGinnis?
I wouldn't know George.
No,
McGinnis.
we're not that old, bro.
Willis Reed?
Yeah, we remember
I
that.
would have assumed he scored a lot of points, but I don't know.
Bill Russell?
Yeah, Bill
Yeah,
Russell.
Bill Russell, definitely.
Bill Russell averaged 14 points.
But he played forever.
Forever.
He scored 14,000.
Wow.
See, that's why I can't. This is why this stuff gets ridiculous.
That's before the 3-point line, too.
This
That's
is
a huge difference.
I said this before. Listen, no disrespect. Bill Russell, what he did, listen, for African Americans and trying to be like living in Boston, I couldn't even imagine that, right? But let's be clear, he is not in the debate for the best player of all time. He's just not. I think you're just trying to be facetious and funny and pick somebody. When people pick Wilt Chamberlain, I'm like, okay, you pick Wilt Chamberlain, he scored 100 points. I could low-key try to see that. But here's the thing. These dudes was playing against Mikey McNuggets.
I think you're overstating.
No, I'm
Well,
not.
I think what it is he won a lot, but he played for an organization that was the Yankees.
I think the generation before Russell and Wilt, you could make that argument. I think it started to change
There's
around the
2
time.
black guys.
No, they weren't the only 2 black
Well,
guys.
they
it
were
was
just
16s.
they were physically so much superior to what was in the league. They changed the way teams built their teams.
Yeah.
And they changed rules.
To me, the 60s is the divide. Anything before the 60s, I don't care about.
If you're the player coach, that's you gonna. This man was a player coach.
Pete Rose was a player coach much more recently than that.
Frank
That's
Robinson
terrible.
did it here.
That's listen. That should disqualify you if they let you have 2 payrolls and you was telling
Yeah,
people.
but that was just about being cheap.
Hey, Jay, get out. You out. I'm in. No. That should outlaw you from not even being. That's like, yeah, you got traded, bull. You done.
Yeah.
What? You can't do that. Nah, look, nah. I'm sorry. But we can't put y'all in that mix, man. That was.
Where we go from here, brother? It's time to talk comedy. Isn't
It is. I have got a few texts from friends outside of the state of Cleveland who are anxiously
Cleveland's
away. I don't know if
state?
they've ever tuned into the show before.
Did you see the tweet that I sent you, by the way? I thought that was a cool image.
It came in. Hold on. Let me look at
Yeah,
it
it's
right
a
now.
really cool image.
Yeah, I got it with the check.
The first energy
Yes.
with the Buckeyes in Wolverines painted in the.
No,
We'll get that up. We'll get that up.
Yeah, it's just
show
a
it at the
cool
end.
image, and it. I wonder if I doubt they would ever do it because it would cost them money, and Ohio State wouldn't want to surrender their home field advantage. But I'd love to see Ohio State Michigan game played there. It'll never happen, but it'd be cool as hell.
It'd be awesome. The comedy show recap today is brought to us by PCC. So let's get
nice.
a PCC read in. Then we're going to show Anthony. We'll discuss Anthony. Then we'll show a little of mine. We'll discuss, and we will.
We're going to show half of Anthony's set. Which
Literally
is a
half
minute.
of Anthony's set. But before you do that, Anthony, stand-up's probably not in your future, but if you do need a second job outside of UCSS, PCC Airfoils is looking for new employees. If you need a job, PCC is where to go. I got to find the read. I used to have this memorized, and now I don't have it anymore. But I found the email. PCC Airfoils is the leading airfoil manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, Minerva. Hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and the signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. And they can promise you, this is added to the read today, they will not make you do stand-up for losing in fantasy football. So, Anthony, you're off the hook, bud. I got a thumbs up. Thanks,
Good.
Anthony.
Very
so,
good.
should we just play Anthony's clip, and then we'll react?
Yes.
We'll move on? Steve, let's see Anthony.
Holy, I can't see anybody. This is perfect. Thank you. Turn the lights up. Thank you. So, as Mike Polk mentioned, I'm from Parma. And I did write out a bunch of stuff to do this stand-up. I'm from Parma. The only thing I've ever memorized is how to get to my house and how to get to the Parma Tavern, pink flamingos, and that Drew Carey is the second coming of Jesus Christ. So everything I have is just out the window. But my last name, for those of you who don't know me, I am Anthony Antonelli. and I am not related to the Antonelli cheese, whatever the hell they are. I wish I was, but at this point in my life, I think cheese. You. I think cheese would actually kill me at this point in my life. If for anybody who doesn't hear the booze, that's my entire friend group down there. They're the only ones who I expected to laugh tonight, so don't feel bad in the back. Tyvis, I'm looking at you though. I will rig true or false. Don't with me.
And that was half of it.
Yeah.
It's even shorter than I remember.
I got to tell you, I thought Anthony in the first minute got off to a good start.
Yeah.
He had energy.
In the first minute.
Yeah. And then he just crashed and burned.
In minute 2.
And he was done.
Anthony, did you have more, but you just tapped out because you didn't feel the room?
I kind of forgot everything once I got up there. So
Yeah.
I was like, I know there's green tea shots waiting for me on the table, so I'm out of here.
You should have just.
I don't blame you.
You didn't have notes? You could have looked at your notes.
I've never seen that.
I did
though.
have notes on my phone, yes. I probably
I've never seen a comic take scripts.
Yeah, but he's not a professional.
I know, that's true.
But I thought he was funny in the beginning.
No, I thought he landed a couple of jokes.
Yeah. I like the cursing.
They're giving you the Randy Jackson.
This is what Mike Polk's dad told me. If you can't be funny, be likable. And he said I was likable, so I'll take it.
You're definitely likable. Absolutely. And so is McNuggets, but McNuggets was also funny, which is why I think everybody, left with a big smile on their face, because you're likable, you were self-deprecating, and you were certainly funny.
Yeah, you want to play it?
Yeah.
Let's
We
do
got
it, man.
4.5 minutes. This is the first half of my set. Steve, whenever you're ready, let's take it. So I want to tell you about the first bet I made on January 1st when Cleveland came. I don't use the sports books because you can't get the real props on sports, but you got to go to a real bookie. And I don't trust sports. I trust people. So I made a bet on Bull. But you don't even know if you know about this yet. I made a health bet on Bull that by the end of January, this is a crazy parlay, he was going to have pneumonia, pink eye, an upper respiratory virus, and knives in the throat. And then as I was closing out, my bookie's like, do you want diabetes? It's minus 2,000. I was like, it's a f***ing lock. Okay. And then this happened. Polk, please play the clip. Play the damn clip.
Over the last 12 days, knives in the throat, a terrible cold, pneumonia, ear infection, and pink eye. And that's all that I can remember right now. Plus, they took a blood test because they were a little worried I had diabetes. Fortunately, I don't have diabetes. That was so good. That was great.
Are you kidding me, Bull? I've never been so upset to find out my friend doesn't have diabetes. Where's Tyvis at? We got some elite athletes in the house, myself and Tyvis. If y'all don't know, Tyvis was the 2015 National Championship MVP at Ohio State. Give a round of applause to Tyvis. Let's go. What's up, Tyvis? So, here's the thing about Tyvis, is he still thinks he's an elite athlete. Like, if you ask Tyvis right now, honest to God, Tyvis, can you start in center field for the Guardians tomorrow? Absolutely. Could you beat Usain Bolt in a race?
Yep, that's my cousin, but I smoke him.
Hey, here's the thing. It might be true. He might be able to do those things. But here's what I do know. For real?
He really is.
Oh, good shit. Happy cousin. Your cousin's better than you. But here's the thing. Here's what I do know about Tyvis. Here's the thing about Tyvis. That he may be able to do all those unbelievable athletic feats, but he can't outrun his own hairline. Like when I get my own Netflix special, we're gonna do a quick cut of Tyvis. Like, y'all see how high up that shit is? I love you, Tyvis. Hey, be quiet. Hold on. I just realized something. I met Jay in April. That's 10 months of knowing Jay Crawford, and that is the first time since I've met Jay that he's let anybody finish a complete thought without interrupting. Hey, did Brad come? Serious question. Did Brad come? I really can't see. He's still fair game. Do y'all know Brad Sellers?
Do you ever hear why Brad didn't
7
show
feet
up?
tall, mayor of Warrensville. Here's the best part about working with Brad. The man is consistent. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. The Guardians farm system. Who the Cavs should draft. Separation of church and state. The difference in a sweet potato and a yam. This is Brad's answer to every single question. Y'all know I played with Michael Jordan? Yeah, Brad, we know. We know. What up, Jason Lloyd? I see you back there. I actually can't see you, but I know you're back there. Y'all ever realize Jason always looks pissed off? Like, it doesn't matter what's going on, Jason looks pissed off. There you go. He said it, not me. I think I figured out why, y'all. I think I figured out why. Could you imagine being on the original LeBron beat back in 2003 with Brian Windhorst, Dave McMenamin, Chris Haynes? And all those guys have gone through big things. Haynes with TNT, McMenamin's in LA, Windhorst is on ESPN, and your big move was from Akron to Avon Lake?
I thought that was the best line of the whole thing.
That was funny. She actually was mad about it, though.
How much time do I got left?
Tracy was mad.
About that line?
Yeah, she's like, that's
I got
personal.
8 minutes left, y'all. Let me tell y'all a little
Trust me.
secret. I have
Jason,
never
you're
lasted
just
this long in my entire life. Like, usually 90 seconds in. Usually 90 seconds in, I'm smoking a cigarette already, trying to figure out what excuse I'm going to use to tell this girl that's the worst sex she's ever had in her entire life.
My mom left with this one.
It's true. It's true. There's like one of you out there that may know that. You know what? I thought, though, coming to Cleveland and becoming... I'm going to brag on myself for a sec, so give me my kudos. I am the single most famous Cleveland-based, Tegna-streamed YouTube producer in the country. And I thought that was going to have me drown in And then I came to the harsh realization of this. You know how hard it must be for a girl to get excited about hooking up with a dude named McNuggets? And that is the part we clipped.
That was good.
It was just as good
great.
the second time.
It was hilarious.
It was just as good the second time.
The only, I actually think if Mike was like a real comedian, that was decent for a real comedian.
Did you take a shot at G. Bush?
No, I said that to him last night. I'm like, how do you leave out G. Bush?
How do you leave out
He
our
said
man?
he couldn't think of anything to go with. I said, you should have used what I said, which is he's here last second.
I mean,
Yeah, well, you know what? It hit me late. G. Bush is a makeup artist. I should have absolutely roasted him.
Dude, you
doing
could have
makeup.
talked.
I told you that.
You could have talked about his 7,000 weddings. I mean, there's a lot there.
Plenty of material. Plenty of meat on the bone.
I know. Well, listen, I had to save
Bad job by you, as Paul
I had
would
to
say.
save something for the second half.
Yeah, you know.
I had to save something for the second half. And by second half, I mean my second Netflix special, which is coming next year.
But it was a great job. For a non-comedian, it was an A.
It was great.
Actually, you should,
Nailed it.
We should do this yearly. We should do it every
We
year.
should do it yearly.
You know what? I like that idea. I think I talked to the folks from the club afterwards, and they said it was a huge success. They get much better turnout than they expected. And I think that's a great idea, bro.
I spoke to the owner after.
Yeah, I did. The owner.
Yeah.
So we should, who turns 80 coming up. I think that's a great idea.
And this time, y'all got to actually do sets. If McNuggets can do it, y'all got to do a set on your own.
I'll do it. I don't give
I told Jason we signing
there.
Jason up. We signing Jason up. And then
We
think
got to get
about
Jason and Tyvis up next time.
Doesn't it have to be the last place person in
true.
the fantasy league again?
Yes, yeah.
I'll just have the Athletic do my draft every year. I'm good.
By the way, when Mike, at one point in his stand-up, we didn't see it here, at one point Mike did this thing where he took out his phone and he was pretending he was getting a call from Deep Podesta about what to do. I actually thought that was going to be you making fun of Jason at the fantasy draft.
See, I think
That's what I thought you were doing.
Anthony said he had a joke in there.
Yeah.
He probably forgot about me rigging the draft and just letting the Athletic guys do it.
I think he did so well, right? Poker's already good. I thought Bull did really well too.
Thank you.
I was like, we might be able to carry this thing by ourselves.
To that, I'll say this. It was funny because it was a one-off.
Now,
I'm
listen.
not sure that anybody wants to see that on a regular basis.
No, you get one time. You get one time a year.
I will tell you guys, though, G. Bush, I didn't expect him to come up with jokes. G. Bush came up with a great little joke. And then Bull came out and I think blew out the mic. He was yelling so loud.
Bull was Bull was Bull.
Bull was Bull. But it was hysterical.
Like, one person made a peep from the audience, and he had a shut the F up so fast.
It was his neighbor.
I didn't realize.
I was blown away at the speed of all of it. Like, Bull went up there saying, no matter what happens, I'm not going to be shouted down.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't
chance.
know. Me and Anthony was in the back, and I thought it was going to be a quick thing.
Yeah.
And Pope just kept going.
I
And
know.
I think the longer he went, I looked
It
at
made us
Anthony.
think like we had to do some shtick.
I looked at Anthony. I'm like, oh, he ain't got it.
Even
I saw
Jay-
his material just going away.
Even Jay, you didn't talk for a long time, but you said you were just going to go up there for 2 seconds.
Oh
and
no,
you had
it
some
was
good
4 or
lines.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't speak that long, but
But you had a couple of good lines.
At that point, I didn't know what the night was going to become.
Right, you had no clue at
I
that
thought
point.
Mike was going to pop up there and do
Right.
like a 3 to 4 minute warm up.
Mike probably did an hour all total.
And
Every
yeah.
50
Mike's
minutes
song
at
at
least.
the end was the best part of
That
night,
was
though.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah, but
By the way, if you've never seen Mike Polk in stand up, he was
he
was beyond funny.
I'll give
Yeah.
him
He
his
was great.
flowers. Like when he did the song at the end.
That was the funniest of
I'll
all.
say,
God.
I say,
There's a
damn, bro.
video to that on YouTube
I
somewhere.
said, damn,
That is
bro.
old. That song is old. I've known Mike for 20 years. We went to college together.
Yeah.
Go look it up. I meant to tell you this, Mike, last night. You probably just don't know. He sang to Kim Kardashian.
He did. That's a fact.
Years ago.
It's
Wait,
a
what?
fact on some crazy TV
Telemundo.
show.
Telemundo.
My mom seen it.
He
Yeah.
went on Telemundo and sang to Kim Kardashian one semester of Spanish love song, and it's hysterical.
Yeah,
This
he-
is before Kim became like she
Well,
was
this-
in
right.
that growing
Yeah, yeah,
phase.
yeah.
This is before the Polk became
But
Polk.
that last
true.
song he did was hilarious, and I thought that Brown song he did, he
Very
was really
good.
funny
Yeah.
too.
It's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Mike.
did-
I've seen Mike a couple of times at the club.
Yeah.
he's super good. He doesn't do a lot of it anymore, but if you get a
He
chance
should,
to see
man.
him,
He's funny as
absolutely
hell.
check him out.
It was
because-
great. The crowd was awesome. The fans were so nice.
Yeah.
We all schmoozed with the fans after they all came up and said hello.
Hell,
We
some
all
of
took
them went out
pictures.
for drinks with us afterwards.
Yeah.
They kicked it for a minute. Like we was looking around and I'm like, oh, the lights came on, and then they were there for 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Shout out to Pickwick and Frolic and Hilarities, though, for letting us do that.
They were great.
It was awesome. Their staff was
They
great.
filmed it. I mean, they filmed that for us, which was so clutch.
Wow.
And I know Polk set it up, and they told us Polk always shows up late. Polk was going to be here today. He got called on a Channel 3 shoot, so unfortunately he's not here to recap
And
it
their
with
food
us.
You know
was
what? You
actually
know what the
pretty
shoot
good.
was that he got called on?
What you mean, actually?
He's
Giant
good.
pumpkin
Jumping.
in Medina.
even better.
I got mozzarella sticks and French fries. They were good. Jason got a shrimp cocktail at a comedy club. I've never seen that before. Was it any good?
Well, yeah, it wasn't bad. My wife ordered it from Pickwick and Frolic. It's not the comedy club's
Oh,
food.
yeah,
It's
okay.
Pickwick
Yeah.
and Frolic.
yeah,
Where's Mike
what's the
today?
Where's Polk on?
So breakdancing is going into the Olympics. I'm not making this up.
Breakdancing is in the
Breakdancing.
Olympics?
And there's a breakdancing team here in Cleveland. And so Mike right now is with them shooting a feature. And I asked him, I said, you're breakdancing, right? He goes, oh, yeah. And I said, and you're bringing your own cardboard, right? He goes, of course. I'm not a rookie at this. So we will get to see Mike breakdance on his latest
Breakdancing in
feature.
the Olympics?
I
on
have
Channel
to
3.
imagine no grown man in Cleveland owns more random cardboard boxes in their house
than
on
Mike.
any given day of the year than Mr. Mike Polk.
Mike's awesome, man. I just love him. I sat next to his dad. I love his dad, too. His
That is-
His
dad,
dad's huge, by the way.
his dad's
Huge.
6'7".
Yeah.
Big
He's
guy.
huge.
And he said when his dad got married at 20, he was 6'7", 155 pounds.
His dad came up to me after I spoke to his dad a couple of times, but at the end of the show, he goes, I didn't know what I thought of you before today, but you're great. And he goes, Mike says you're awesome, but I didn't know for myself. He goes, you're great.
He's a good dude.
Thanks.
I love Mr. Polk.
He was
and
great. It was such a perfect night. It really
It was. And Mike went. I want to give a shout out to Mike because we kind of just dropped this on him. We basically invited ourselves to his house.
Yeah.
To his comedy club that he is a headliner at a lot.
Yeah.
And we just looked at him as, now, you'll take care of everything, right?
Just figure it out.
Well, that's not easy. First
Yeah.
of all, they're not normally open on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So he had to convince the owner, who loves Mike, by the way, to open on a random Wednesday night,
Staff it.
staff it, bring all the people in, and act like it's a full show and a full night.
And considering
We had a whole nother comedian. Shout out to him. He
Brian
was
Kenny,
dope,
who
too.
was really
He was
funny.
dope.
Brian Kenny was very
I liked his
funny.
wrestling angle. Jay,
Oh,
I know you laughed.
listen,
you was laughing.
I
tough
was
because
dying laughing at the
that,
wrestling.
You know it intimately.
I knew it all, bro. I knew it all. And honest to God, I told my wife, I said, if there's footage of the match that he explained somewhere, I would pay a lot of money to look at that. Because
considering it was a Wednesday night and the Cavs were playing at home,
Right.
it was a great crowd that we
yeah,
had.
it was.
What do you guys think? And we'll go around the horn here. There were people at the show last night that had no idea what they had signed up
Not
for.
a lot. There was not a lot.
Well,
There was about 10. Jay,
But how
you can
does
tell
that
them what I said.
happen?
Yeah.
How did
so
that happen?
They just were walking down Fourth.
Were they at dinner on Pickwick and Frolic and found out there was a show?
Most likely, or they were walking down and saw the marquee was hot.
Yeah.
So they said, "Hey, there's a comedy show."
Just pulled up.
So the first thing that when I walked in, McNuggets came up to me and he goes, "Oh shit, guess what?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "I was just talking around to the house, and I just found out that there's a whole bunch of people sitting in the front that are just here on random dates and have no idea what's going on."
What do you think they thought of the show? Because we know
honestly,
a lot of the people that came were UCSS fans. They got some of those jokes. If you just watch that and you don't know, like.
It's like sitting in on a family reunion and they're telling all these inside jokes.
Right.
You just start watching a tennis match.
My wife was like, she didn't understand any of the jokes. She just said, I just laughed because your parents were laughing. She had no context. She was just like.
She don't watch the show at all?
Yes, she does, but she does not understand. Like, you know how you have humor and it's sarcastic. She said, I only laughed at the curse words. So she don't understand nothing else. She was like, I don't know.
She must have laughed a lot with me then.
Yeah,
that's pretty much my whole bit.
She was like,
curse
the
words.
all the curse words.
I think all our wives found it funny. Tracy laughed her ass off. And she watches the show pretty regularly.
Yes.
Not every day, but a lot. Enough to get everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
My wife had a great time. She loved meeting everybody.
I had not met your wife last night. She was lovely. I wish I could have spent more time with her.
Yeah, I was like, Bull, I would turn up and say, boy, shit, your wife is really nice.
I told Tracy, I go, damn, Bull outkicked his coverage, man.
Bad.
She's
Way
great.
bad. Like, she's all courteous and everything. She came up to my wife.
She's a good match, though. She's a good, contrast to you, I think.
Well, she's very chill.
Very quiet,
but
very relaxed.
She's not quiet. She's very outgoing.
Is she really?
Yeah, very outgoing.
Yeah.
And she's a singer too. She sang the national anthem at a minor league baseball game.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
What? Let me find out that she was serenading you.
Now, I will say I liked your wife from jump. Like the second I met her, I said, hey, where's little guy? She goes, oh, we didn't think the language would be appropriate. And I said, well, at least we got one parent who knows where the guardrails are.
Right? Well, even I didn't want him hearing that much cursing.
Oh, I see.
I don't mind.
The worm has turned.
Listen, there's other inappropriate things, but I don't mind. I curse in front of him sometimes. I don't purposely do it, but I do sometimes. But I knew there was going to be an abundance of cursing.
There was an abundance, and the joke. Yeah. I wish you would have clipped the part. Who? It was Bull. God, do we have that? Where Bull told the story about the vasectomy, because it was so funny the way you told it last night. I mean, it was funny when you told it.
Right, but I was able to say different things that a little more graphic.
It was great, man. It was just.
Bull took my joke from that and used it in his routine. I was honored.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I did? What?
Well, I called it the straightaway in the roadblock and Dead Man's Curve.
Oh.
And then you finagled. It was all good. It worked out.
It was funny. It was very. Are you going to post everything or no? Because of all the bleeps.
We have a call at 2:30 for the people at home that want to see. We have a call at 2:30. Ian will be on it. I'm going to post on my personal YouTube. I know whatever it's tagged. I'm going to post at least mine and Anthony's.
All unfiltered.
The unfiltered, my 10 minutes, Anthony's 1 minute, 57 seconds.
Well, it's a comedy show. The whole thing should be unfiltered.
Yeah, I mean, put the whole thing up then. It's yours, not Tegna's.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can put it on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show channel.
I don't think you can, but
I'll put it on my...
But you know what? You can put your link
yours and
maybe
tweet it
in the
out.
chat.
Yeah, I'll just do it and tweet it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a YouTube channel?
I mean, for like my old TV reel back in the day. Like, I'm not producing content.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, man,
do you want the views? I'll put it on the barbershop.
Yeah, you put it on there. Yeah, it don't
we
matter.
met Tyvus's wife for the first time.
Yep. She was wonderful.
Lovely.
I told her no less than 27 times to move to Cleveland, and she said no very politely every
That is a non-starter.
By the way, even Tyvus's wife is stunned by how confident he is. I'll be nice and take off.
You're right.
She's like, he never thinks he can lose anything. You've got to get him under control, basically.
Yeah.
I tried my best. Last night.
It was great.
Yeah,
you did great,
really
Mike. The whole night was fantastic. Kudos
And shout
to
out everyone who
everybody.
came out, for real. Like, I cannot emphasize this. I don't know the exact ticket number. My guess is between 150, 200 people came out.
Yeah.
We had the whole first section sold out.
Yep.
Was awesome. We stayed out.
I'd say even the second tier was pretty close.
Half sporadic.
Yeah.
But I mean, we met so many guys
And that's what I'm saying. We literally met people. That was the best part of the night, was getting to meet people. Evan 419 is the first one I keep thinking of, but he's in the chat every day.
Just a second, Steve and I had a conversation last night when we were leaving. I've been doing television for 35 years. Steve, you've been doing it 32, 35 as well. So we've got a lot of experience in television. And I know everybody else here has experience in media. And so you'll probably be able to second this. You do. You've been local for, Steve and I were having a conversation that we've had offline many times about this group and the chemistry and the camaraderie. We disagree. We don't agree on everything. But just the way these pieces have fit together, in my experience, it's like sports. It's like any business. When that happens naturally and it just fits, and it's something special. Guys, I've told you that, between all of my 16 years at ESPN, I was with 3 different show groups. Mm-hmm. Most of it Cold Pizza and First Take, but SportsCenter as well. There was never this fit, this instant fit.
Yeah.
And where we don't have, Mike Polk used this in part of his bit last night where he was kind of explaining what we have. He's like, these guys are great guys. None of them are D's. They're all great guys.
Yeah.
And Steve and I were just reflecting on it for a minute about what a fun night it was, but B, how lucky we are that we brought all of these random pieces from all these different corners of the business and the United States. Right. And it just worked.
Yeah. And it allows us also to do the next level of we bust each other's balls all the time and nobody takes it personally.
It's fair game.
Yeah. It's just so funny. And, of course, we know that Jason could have gone to national and done all this stuff. He chose to stay in Cleveland.
Well, I told
but
Tracy
he doesn't
was
mind
mad
getting
at that.
his balls busted about it.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
Funny.
I know, but Tracy was like, I thought that was all funny, but I thought McNuggets was, I felt sorry for Jason. And I go, listen.
He chose to stay here.
I said,
it was hilarious.
For starters, that's the way we are. She doesn't get how guys are.
Right.
Because I played baseball my whole life, and she sits at the games, and she's like, you guys are so rude to one another. I'm like, that's what guys do.
Yeah.
But I told her, I said, listen, Jason's doing just fine. Yeah. Jason's at the sports written word pinnacle right now. Yeah. Better than Sports Illustrated. Yeah. That's the top. And to your point, he could have left here a million times.
Exactly. And Mike said he was sad that I didn't get diabetes.
I know.
I was laughing my ass off. I was cracking up.
If your wife got mad at what I said about Jason, then she must have hated me for the diabetes.
No, she saw that was a low blow too, but
she liked that shit.
She knew that because it was critical that you played the clip.
Yeah.
Because she didn't see the show that day, and I told her what you said. She thought it was funny then.
Yeah.
But once she saw the clip and the way you were like, I don't have diabetes. Like she was okay with all that. She wasn't sure how you took it, probably because your face is always angry. And I go, no, trust me.
Great.
Trust me.
I thought it was great.
Jason's doing just fine.
Jason Lloyd is rich.
And here's what I told him. I go, Jason's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
Those other guys, and I'm not for a second saying that Brian and Dave and all those guys, Chris, that they're not where they want to be.
Sure. They're rich too.
But and there's a piece of that. But I can honestly tell you, I admire folks that know where they're supposed to be. Not where they're supposed to be, meaning entity, ESPN or whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought, first of all, ESPN was never on my radar, ever. I just never wanted to do it. It was always Cleveland, always. Even when I was at ESPN, I would tell people, one day I'm going to work in Cleveland.
Right.
I figured it out too late. I came home at 53, and I'm pissed that it took me that long to figure that out. And that's the way my career went.
You've had a hell of a career.
But my issue with it personally is my biggest regret. People ask me, do you have any regrets? Yeah, I didn't come here a lot sooner. Because initially it was supposed to be get my kids through high school, which would have been from the time we moved there 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being 16 just for reasons that, were kind of out of my control. They had a matching clause.
But things change along the way, right?
I mean, when I was young, ESPN was my pinnacle. That's what I wanted. I absolutely wanted. When LeBron came back, I had a conversation with Brian. I thought I was going. Yeah. So I thought I was going to ESPN.
Right.
And
then they moved Dave here, which, Dave's one of my best friends, so it's
fine.
And then when, I get married, have kids and all that, and then I'm like, no, with The Athletic, they told me they wanted to send me with LeBron wherever he went. I easily could be in LA. I said, no, this is home.
Sure. And
this
see, that to me, that's
where I want to be.
I'll tell you, my first 4 or 5 years working in Cleveland, I always wanted to go back to New York.
Right.
For probably the first 5 years.
And because that's your home.
That's my home. But now I have no desire. I would not. I mean, The only way I would even consider going back, they would have to pay me. I would have to make like 5 times what I'm making now to even consider it. I really have zero desire to live in New York ever again. There's still things about it I love. It's still, but I'm a mutt now. I'm a Clevelander, half New Yorker. My son's a Clevelander. He was born here. He only knows here. We have no desire to move back. For years I wanted to go to another market, and now I don't. I'd like to do this show and my podcast, which has been on hiatus, and I'll have an announcement about it next week. It's coming back. I'd like to just do that the rest of my career, and that's it. I'm happy to do that.
All through my 20s, I wanted to leave. Now, I don't have any desire to leave. This is where I want
It's
to
a great
be.
place to live. Even if you're not from here, for those who may be listening from out of town, I never would have thought this when I first moved here. Cleveland is a great place to live. It's probably one of the best places in the country. And what I would say to people who may be coming here from out of town or listening from other places, my wife describes Cleveland perfectly. It is user-friendly more than anywhere else.
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's just a great place to live.
That's right. Yeah. And being home is, I've learned now, it's like a second paycheck. It might even be more important than your first paycheck because where you are, it matters the most. Yeah. And it's particularly when you're home. And I always knew that I was going to come home someday. It took me way longer. Even when I was in Columbus and I thought, well, now I'm in Columbus. Now I can get to Cleveland.
Right.
And the Cleveland guys were so good. At the time, you've got Casey Coleman at Channel 8. Jim is here.
Yep.
Nev Chandler at Channel 5, who was an institution. All of these guys.
Yep.
And then Tampa offered a job. And Tampa was actually a bigger market. And the only reason I took it was because I thought the missing piece on my resume was I hadn't covered a professional sports team as my main beat.
Right.
In Columbus, I covered the Indians, Browns, Cavs, Bengals, Reds, being in Columbus, but I hadn't had that part of it, covering the Devil Rays every day, the Buccaneers every day, the Lightning every day. And I thought for sure I'm going to do 5 years in Tampa, and then I'll get into Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And when that contract was up, there was still nothing open in Cleveland.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would have had to take a pay cut then to go from Tampa to Cleveland, but I was, sign me up.
Yeah.
And then the ESPN thing happened, and I'm like, I'll do a contract or two there. If I can't get to Cleveland from ESPN, it's a me thing.
Yeah, that's it's not working out too well for you, bro.
And so I'm just, I respect the hell out of you for that because I know if you wanted to at any point, you could have said, I'm going to take the national route. But family, I know now, knowing you, that family had everything to do with that decision.
That line Mike had was the best. That was the funniest line of the night about you moving from
Akron to Avon Lake.
I mean, that was just
it was
that
great.
was the funniest.
The hairline joint.
Real quick,
I thought
on that line about Jason, when I'm running through this stuff with people that aren't from, that was the joke that got the least laughs, and obviously they're not from Ohio, so they have no idea.
So they didn't know what that meant.
And I was like, that one's funny.
It is funny.
I was like, I know some of these are funny. No. That one got a 0% approval rating.
And
if you're not from here, you wouldn't get that.
He pulled out of the.
That was Jay's worst bottle throw.
The haymaker, the bomb that was supposed to go off at the end. I seen him. He started talking about the jersey. I said, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do the joke. He's about to drop the joke.
He pulled ripcord on it.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go. I can't.
It was going too well. I couldn't let the last 5% cancel me for a great first 95%.
He said there was a choice. He said, look, it was a choice. If I went with it, it'd either shut everything down.
You're the only one that's heard the joke in full.
Yeah, I'm the only one. Yeah. So he was like,
did it hit?
Oh no, it would have.
She loved it.
It would have hit it'd have hit crazy because they would have never expected him to say that.
I'll tell you
and there was enough black people in the audience that would have been like, "Oh, this is crazy." I know he didn't say that.
It's a little racy.
Right? Yeah, it was crazy. It would have been his raciest, no pun intended, his raciest joke. But the climate was there. He was like, I tried to test the waters for you, see how cool they was with the race jokes. It worked out.
The Deep Podesta joke, you had talked about the Deep Podesta joke.
I like that.
That was funny when you first pulled out the phone and said, hold on, I got a call. So he pulled out his cell phone and it wasn't lit. It wasn't working.
Yeah.
And somebody in the audience saw it and she goes, it's not even real.
That was the girl that Anthony said F you to earlier. It was Anthony's friend.
Yeah.
And then, so the bit was, he's like, oh, Paul? Yeah, you want me to go from that one? So the funny part about it was Paul DePodesta was watching the show from home in San Diego like he watches the Browns games.
And UCSS every morning.
Yeah, and communicating to McNuggets which jokes to call.
Yeah, right. How to move with that.
And I thought that was very well played.
I like that.
That was good.
Very funny.
We got 1 minute left. Tomorrow, Adam Richmond.
I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, he is.
I got to tell you,
guys are going to love him.
I used to keep a spreadsheet of his show, Man vs. Food, every city he went to, the restaurants he went to, and whether he accomplished the challenge.
Wow.
I got to try to find it. I somehow have lost the spreadsheet over the years because it's been a long time since that show.
Right, yeah.
I must have it somewhere in my files.
I've watched pretty
loved
much
that
every
show,
season
and
of
he
his
was
stuff.
awesome on it.
Yeah, he was great.
Is this the most starstruck you'll be for a guest?
I've never been starstruck for an athlete. I'm not going to be starstruck, but we're both Jews from Brooklyn. But I'm excited because I'm a big fan.
He's a great guy. Yeah. Everybody's going to love him.
We're going to do a top 5 with him tomorrow.
Good.
Top 5 foods
Good.
with him tomorrow.
He used to do regular segments with us at Cold Pizza, sort of tailgate-ish. And I'm throwing a Super Bowl party at the house on Sunday. And so I wanted to go right to him. What do I need to serve these Neanderthals?
That's right.
Just so
you have the top 10, top 5 Super Bowl